TikTok Tourette's syndrome is a real diagnosis. People are manifesting Tourette's from TikTok. We're not designed to be sedentary, screen-staring, meaning-devoid creatures. Abigail Shrier says that when we talk about moderation in regards to technology, it's like nurses going to high schools telling students to moderate ecstasy. It's the wrong conversation.
Walk us through why that is, though.
You have to remember, your algorithm is dictating the perception of your reality, which is not likely true.
Say that again. I think that's such a good point.
I don't know what I just said.
What are the principles that people should know to use this technology responsibly?
If you implement these 11 principles in your life in 2026, it will radically change your year.
It's almost 2026, and I believe that it's more important than ever for all of us to get our houses in order, for us to figure out how are we being affected on a daily basis by our habits, routines, and the tools, devices, and technologies that we use. Welcome back to the Lila Rose Show. Today I'm sitting down with Andrew Laubacher. He is the executive director of Humanality, which is a new organization focused on making humans be more human and understanding the costs and consequences of the technologies that we are using, while providing a roadmap for how us to use them in a more human way that helps our relationships and our health. Please make sure to share this episode with a friend. Also, thank you so much to everybody who's been subscribing to the show. The show grew by leaps and bounds this year because of you. Still, over 60% of the people who are watching the show on YouTube are not yet subscribed. So please, you can help support the show by hitting that subscribe button. Leave us a like, leave us a comment. I read every single comment. And if you're listening over on podcast app, make sure that you are subscribed there so that you never miss a future episode. Also, if you want ad-free episodes, 30% off our merch, access to ask questions of our guests in the future, go check out our Patreon. That's patreon.com/Lila Rose Show. Thank you so much. Andrew Laubacher, welcome to the podcast.
It's great to be here.
Great to see. We have a lot of mutual friends.
A ton.
Including Emily and Daniel Husem. No, I want to say Wilson. Obviously, it's Husem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've known them for probably like 12 plus years.
That's awesome.
Godfather to Jedediah.
I love that.
I met Emily at an event, I think in El Paso, probably 2013. I was leading worship. She was a speaker.
Amazing.
And then, yeah, Daniel moved here. We've been friends.
But you still haven't gotten on the Sacred Spark
yet. I
yet.
have not gone Sacred Spark.
You will soon, guys.
We're in the discerning process
Okay.
if I'm going to enter into that digital world. But I love them. They're some of my best friends on the planet.
Well, we were saying earlier that you are the expert on the harm of the digital world and how to escape from the harm and build outside of that world, have the real life connections that God has planned us for, designed us for. But you were saying earlier, if there's an app that's a dating app that is the most human, that would be the Sacred Spark app. So anyways, I
agree. It seems like they're creating some modalities in there that can be more human and not as swipey and as transactional. And so, yeah, I think that what they're doing is awesome. I enjoy meeting people in the wild. So that's kind of been my play so far. Obviously, I'm still single, so it hasn't really worked yet. But we're just going to give it a little bit more time.
You're on the road a lot.
I'm on the road a lot. My life's been really weird, which we can dive into at a certain point. But yeah, I've been on the road a long time.
So Humanality is the organization that you're the executive director of. You've been on this mission now for at least since 2018. But I think before that, you were being prepared for the mission.
Correct.
And the mission is what?
We are helping people discover freedom through an intentional relationship with technology. And we're helping people be human and unpack a lot of the science of how our technologies are impacting us mentally, physically, spiritually, and use them as a tool. Thoreau said that we have become tools of our tools. So we're really trying to unpack how do we live more human in a digital age. And I love what I'm doing. I love these ideas. And I'm seeing what we're doing starting to work in people's lives, and it's really exciting.
Parents have said when they're surveyed that one of their top, it's like a top 3, sometimes it's a top concern about how to parent has to do with what to do about technology, screens, social media, the whole gamut of it.
Yep.
And a lot of parents, I think, feel helpless against this like overwhelming movement of just this plastering of the face to screens, whether it's in the classroom even, getting iPads in the classroom, or it's you just walk down the street and there's literally everywhere, you go to a restaurant and it's like there's screens everywhere. Every kid has a screen. I want to go to your story because I know that was really an onset for you getting even interested in this. You haven't been on social media since when?
2018.
2018. That's a long time for a younger person.
Yeah.
You're not an Xer.
Yeah, I'm not that
you're
old.
You're not even you're a millennial,
I'm a
right?
millennial.
Yeah. And now you're not the only millennial who's gone totally scot-free, but that's a long time. A lot of the times we take breaks for like a month, a year. You're completely free of it. And but you're also dedicated to helping other people be free of it. Let's start with your story, why you went cold turkey.
Yes.
On no social media in 2018.
Yeah, so I'm a millennial. Were we both millennials?
Of course.
We're both millennials.
Yes.
We look great.
Yes.
I think, starting as early as high school, I think about these things deeply, and I do have time to think about these things deeply. I was on AOL Instant Messenger, in high school, right?
Love
and that
it.
was like the first time where I was, you're starting to spit game, at least as the guy in 8th grade, like, hey, girl, you want to meet up at recess? It is like this first like experience of like, families here, but I'm in this digital world starting to instant message people.
What was your handle?
Oh, it's so
Skater
bad.
Boy?
It's so bad. So my nickname, my middle name is James. So it was AJWeeman11
Of course.
at AOL.com. It's horrible. I can't believe that's going to be in the interwebs now.
I was Alexia 8.
Oh,
because Alexei Yagudin was my favorite Russian ice skater.
wow.
Male Olympian ice skater. And then 8, I don't know why 8, but
Yeah.
for the 80s,
I'm not going to
maybe.
go into like the psychological reasons for mine, but it was
Okay.
like, this weird. I pretty much left the faith in high school, right? So mind you, at that time, it was like, yeah, I didn't want to be religious. I wanted to fit in. I changed everything, right? I changed the way I dressed, changed the way I spoke. And at this point, the Sidekick's coming out. I got the flip phone. I'm like T9 texting. This is wild. I got my MySpace. And during that time, I slowly left the faith. I was partying a lot, and hiding it from my family. Fast forward to all this, I graduate Ventura High School. I'm just going to go. I start playing music, when I'm 12. So I'm playing rock and roll, reggae, rap. This is like Young Jeezy and T-Pain and Usher. They're getting big.
Eminem.
Eminem.
You would be more in the Eminem.
I'm more the Eminem guy. Yeah, I played basketball, which was like no one told me, hey, this is probably a bad sport for you to play. You're going to be really short. I'm as tall as Lionel Messi. I could be a professional soccer player if I tried. But for whatever reason, I played basketball my whole life, right? And but that crowd I was in was fully rebelling, right? And no one really believed in God. The people that did were weird. I went to youth group because I had to. And I just didn't connect with really anyone in that realm. Now, mind you, during that time, I'm also having like pretty severe anxiety as a kid and panic attacks and have no idea why. It kind of runs on both sides of the family, but I was really angry at God for that. It was a very limiting, terrifying thing as a young person to have these like panic attacks, So I think I turned to a lot of different things to help ease that pain in a certain sense. And yeah, so there's a lot happening there in high school, but I graduate. I'm just going to go to community college and keep rock and roll and partying. There's no God, might as well live it up. And I end up getting caught by the cops and for drugs and have to go to court. And obviously the family's incredibly disappointed and I'm depressed. I'm anxious. All those friends that were my friends weren't there for me anymore because I wasn't partying anymore.
Can I ask really quick, was it marijuana or another drug?
Yes. And a little bit of some other stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's so tragic because that's now legal.
Totally.
So there's
marijuana ruined my life in a lot of ways.
There's no intervention anymore. Now it's like you can smell, like literally you go outside and you smell it on the streets.
Totally. And so that time was very destructive in a lot of ways. But so I went to court and then I got invited to go to this Steubenville conference, Steubenville Youth Conference. I've been to 2 before and, it's like, I don't want to go to this like Jesus thing where people are like, want to hug you and, talk about God. And I kind of knew the spiel, right? But I was at such a low point. And my mother, I think, forced me to go. It wasn't an option. Like, you're going to go on this retreat.
He's like, you are a convict.
Shout out to the moms, right? Shout out to the moms. And yeah, in adoration, I went to confession. It was Audrey Assad, Matt Maher. I just had a life-changing experience in worship and adoration. I experienced the weight of my sin and the gospel just hit me. Every preacher, everything of that weekend just radically transformed my life. So I went home just completely different person, threw away all the drugs, tried to get rid of the pornography. Started going to mass. I was literally watching hours of Mother Angelica every day as a 19-year-old man. That's a little weird. Okay.
I love that.
I
We
love
love you,
Mother
EWTN. Oh my gosh. That makes me want to cry.
I was praying with,
that's so beautiful.
I was praying with grandmas after mass, rosaries. I was watching with Super Saints, Beth and Penny Lord, like fell in love with the truth. I found out that you can go and study this thing called theology. You know, so I was a music major at Ventura College's community college, and then I went to Franciscan and studied theology and philosophy. And Franciscan changed my life even more. There, I encountered God, the Holy Spirit. I started leading worship at Steubenville conferences myself, and then I just started getting calls to go play places. This was nothing I looked to do. This is nothing I looked to build. I started playing at my church for 30 kids at a Bible study and just started leading worship. And I couldn't sing. Like my mother literally would tell me, and I could literally picture her in the kitchen being like, Andrew, stop singing. You sound horrible, you know? And I was like, Mom, you're supposed to love me, you know? And God gave me a voice. And I'm not like, you know, I'm not some insane vocalist or anything, but God, you know, started to give me a voice to sing. And so that led me to starting to travel around the country, just started getting calls, go to lead worship, share my testimony. And so mind you, where technology ties in all this is I'm on every platform. At this point, I'm on your Snapchat. I got Snapchat in college because there's a cute girl on Snapchat. And I was like, wait, you can just watch everything they do all day and see what they're doing. This is incredible.
Kind of creepy when you think about it. Yeah.
Up. All of social media is incredibly creepy when you think about it.
Yeah.
But particularly for this, it's like, oh, it's a really cute girl. I can just watch what she does all day. This is amazing. That's why I went on Snapchat, by the way. Had Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at the time. You know, this is when MySpace is dying and everything. So I'm on all the platforms. And now I'm starting to travel and play music, and I'm posting all of my life and sharing all the crowds that I'm in front of and posting everything, right? I'm just starting to notice some of these trade-offs, right? Which are very subtle, but I start to experience them more and more, which, you know, Instagram really started to get, you know, really, I don't know how else to say it, but pornified pretty quickly. And then so my scroll would be like Father Mike Schmitz and Bishop Barron and then like booty shorts, you know, and it was like, this is not helpful for me. Like I'm entering into this world that has so much good and then so many different images that are affecting, for me, purity. And as a man that's trying to live out my Catholic faith, I'm trying to be pure, right? I'm trying to be chaste. I'm trying to prepare myself, you know, for marriage and my vocation. And so I noticed that a lot of these technologies were once starting to lead me to lust on a regular basis. All of them, pretty much all of them. Now at this time, you know, you graduate Franciscan, friends are starting to get married, starting to post their engagements, starting to post their families. You know, I'm not finding that person. You know, I'm not, you know, getting that next thing. I noticed the social comparison thing happening pretty regularly, right? For me too, is like each scroll was like, oh, look at what they're doing that I don't have. That became very regular. And then also I definitely noticed the just wasted time. And then this one idea I want to kind of drive home on the back of our smartphones, if you're an Apple user, you know, is a half-eaten apple. You know, you might have heard this before, but you know, what was the lie in the garden? It was, you know, the devil tempted Adam and Eve. Hey, if you eat at this tree of knowledge of good and evil, you become like God. So with the smartphone, we are participating in an attribute of God, namely his omnipresence, that we were never designed to participate in.
Wow.
So
that's an interesting thought.
Now think about that, and then think about the two temptations to be omnibenevolent and then omnipotent. So with the smartphone, we're present to all things. And I remember feeling this, like, because I remember starting to see all of the world's problems in the palm of my hand. The earthquakes, the tsunamis, the killings, the drama, the political. I started to get so overwhelmed with reality that I remember kind of starting to just get more numb, you know, from people's pain. And now, mind you, I'm trying to do ministry. I'm on the road. I'm experiencing a plethora of human experience all over the world that I'm trying to like wrestle with and pray with and minister to. And then, mind you, I go back to my scroll and it's just all the world's problems in the palm of my hand. So I realized pretty early we were not designed to participate in omnipresence. And the temptation is now that we have to solve the world's problems, be all loving, and then actually we have the power to do so, omnipotent. So those weren't ideas that I was thinking of then, but I look back and I'm like, whoa, I was omnipresent. There's multiple data points showing that empathy has decreased 40% the last 30 years.
Empathy has decreased how much?
40% the last 30 years amongst college students. I noticed in my own life.
I see it, by the way.
Yep. Well, I noticed
They're
this in me.
laughing about Charlie Kirk's murder as an example.
Go down the list, right? It's like the things that I was starting to see in this digital landscape, right? We have to understand that what our biology is experiencing, we've never experienced before, right? It was like really 200,000 years ago, it was like language starts to get introduced. You have a whole trajectory of technologies, right? That from the printing press, which took about 500 years to really start to impact culture. The digital landscape that we're in now literally is like 15, 20 years, boom, entering us, putting us into worlds we were never designed to be in, right? So I'd say it was the lust. I'd say it was a social comparison. I'll say it was a waste of time, the overload of information. I actually noticed I was consuming so much information, even really good information, I wasn't retaining it. So I got super deep in the health and wellness space. I loved healing. Okay. I got super fascinated with like Jesus's healing ministry very early on.
That's why Sean Tobin's a good friend. Yeah.
Yes. I started praying for healing pretty early on. We started to see
Beautiful.
people getting healed of like real diseases. And then I noticed on the road traveling too, we were starting to pray away things that were largely due to our lifestyles, diet and exercise related.
Meaning like I'm obese, I need to be thin.
Right.
And like, well, you can pray for a miracle or you can stop downing 7-Up or whatever it is.
We were going to all these events, a lot of charismatic settings, and praying for people that, you know, had illnesses that I believe were largely due to our lifestyles. And all the data I think now is pointing to that, right? Which is an effect of technology, which we'll get into. So during that time, I was fascinated with all these topics. And I'm also like, okay, I want to be a saint and I want to be holy. And if I'm being honest, I think social media also is making me really focused on myself. I think the best way to be unhappy in life is to focus on yourself. And I noticed my posts every day, it's all me, right? I mean, every post is me, and it was always my best day. It was not my lonely. I mean, it's extremely lonely doing what I've done, you know, in a lot of different ways.
You mean just traveling,
playing music
as a musician?
As a musician, I mean, you're playing in front of hundreds of thousands of people, but a lot of your time is not with people, you know. But my Instagram looked incredible.
Were you with the band?
Yeah, I had a band. I've had a band.
Were you guys very tight, or you went off to your own separate ways?
Everyone lived everywhere. We were kind of flying together, fly out. The Catholic world is, you know. But
your daily routine, it's not like you like there used to be back in the day. Your daily routine is like your family, your neighbor, the butcher, you know, like whatever it was.
Yes.
Today we almost don't even know the names of our neighbors.
Totally.
We don't see our families. They go to the office, they go to the school. It's like we're alone, and then in the evenings, if parents are working, kids are by themselves. So there is this incredible disintegration of human beings.
I want to get into that because that's all tech related, actually. And to be human is to be technological. So what we're going to nuance here throughout this whole conversation, which is why I wrestle with this stuff every day, is that there's infinite good that can come out of technology and infinite evil. So it's really hard for us to nuance this. While we're just talking earlier, like Facebook Marketplace, incredible tool, helps people find all these great things.
That's my dining room table.
Right.
And I'm so proud of my dining room table.
There's like
it's like this extremely unique thing that was a few $100s, but it's
totally. And like
I love it.
I press a button and random people come and pick me up and take me places. It's called Lyft and Uber. Incredible technology.
It's no secret today that pornography use is rampant, and often men and women feel like they are stuck in a habit of use. Covenant Eyes is the #1 tool for overcoming pornography use and has been empowering millions of people to live porn-free for over 25 years. Not only does Covenant Eyes software completely remove adult content from your devices, but it also fills that void with a community of accountability partners to walk with you on your journey. So if you are a man or a woman looking for help in the fight against pornography, or you have a loved one, you can go to covenanteyes.com and use the code Lila for 1 free month trial. That's covenanteyes.com. Use the code Lila. Join the movement to be free of porn for good. A good night of sleep makes all the difference in the world, and Cozy Earth wants to make sure that that's not only possible, but probable for you. Cozy Earth sheets are what my husband and I have on our bed, and they are our favorite sheets hands down. Crafted from viscose from bamboo for an incredibly soft feel that keeps you cozy without overheating. The Bubble Cuddle Blanket is the perfect gift for cozy winter moments, and it combines comfort and style with a distinctively textured bubble design and an ultra soft faux fur feel. Cozy Earth also confidently offers a 100 night sleep trial, as well as a 10-year warranty. Right now, you can stack my code Lila on top of their site-wide sale, giving you up to 40% off in savings. These deals won't last, so start your holiday shopping early. That's CozyEarth.com and use the code Lila for up to 40% off your order. Give the gift a better sleep this Christmas season. That's CozyEarth.com.
There's trade-offs, right? It's this and that. This is Neil Postman's idea. He said a new technology doesn't just change this or that, it changes everything. So we have to think about in regards to media, in regards to the technology of the fork and the knife and the axe and the car and the light bulb. All these technologies have impacts on us, right? They're not just one thing, it's both and. So what I'm trying to kind of dissect is the burdens and the blessings that are being unveiled to us through these different modalities, right? So back to at least my time on the road, I definitely noticed me sharing my day every day, sharing all my thoughts, sharing all the crowds I was in front of. The question just kept coming up. Am I trying to share my faith or am I just trying to share me? Because I'm the brand technically. And I just found that was making me really focused on myself. And the more I started to study the lives of the saints, I was like, Mother Teresa hated getting pictures taken of her, right? And I really love the Carthusian, the monks. They would, with a spoon, this is a little intense, but I love this kind of intense stuff. With a spoon, they dig a bit of their grave every day to remember their mortality. And actually at the end of their lives, this is Nicholas Diot's book, A Time to Die. He goes through this. They would burn all of their pictures and writings. They wanted to be solely known by the Lord instead of the world. That's a little radical. I'm not saying that we all need to do that. But I noticed that my scrolling of myself every day was making me very focused on self. So here's a long story short. There's a lot more there. But in 2018, I was like, all this is leading me to be unhappy ultimately. And I'm trying to be a student of Dr. Arthur Brooks. He's a hero of mine, I'd say, in a lot of ways.
He'll come on the show, I think, in 2 weeks.
Oh,
yeah, he's
I
great.
just met him at Franciscan. His whole talk he just gave at Franciscan was essentially on humanality.
I love
it. It was all on tech detox.
You're like, you're my spokesman.
Yes, it was literally all on like the
That's
meaningless crisis is largely due to our digital interactions.
Oh,
They're shallow, right? It's not real. Anyway, so I deleted everything in 2018. And here's some of the fruits that happened. I went to a flip phone. So this wasn't cool yet, right? The digital minimalism movement hasn't really started. I knew this was leading me to sin in many different ways, and I wanted to be free. And I definitely felt the algorithms controlling me, which I didn't like. And so a couple of things I noticed really quickly after was my friendships radically
Wait, before
changed.
you tell me about the good fruit of deleting social media, and it wasn't just, to be clear, you didn't just delete social media. You deleted a smartphone. You deleted your supercomputer that was in your phone.
Yes.
So it wasn't just
yes.
I mean, right. I mean,
yeah.
So, but I've got to ask you, so 2018 is an early time to do that too. I mean, I have one of my best friends also who's been on the show a few times, Stephanie Gray Connors now. She went social media free cold turkey, I think in maybe 2020 maybe. And she was like, again, an early adopter for this. Yes. But she like, will ask me who has social media, hey, can you share my book or share this or that? Yeah. So she understands still the use of the thing, right? Yes. You were in ministry, you had a band. That
this
sounds
how
like
I got gigs.
That was your career. That's how you made money.
Yep.
How, when you were like just going cold turkey and deleting everything, did you think, I mean, you could have done the Sia thing. Sia, the artist, the musician, she's like never shows her face.
Oh, that's fun.
And then it's definitely not about her, but she's still promoting her and her music, obviously. But how did you square that?
Oh, obviously I was a single guy at the time, and still am. But at the time I realized I didn't have a family that I was dependent, but I had bills. So this is where people, I get the argument. They're like, well, you don't have a family and you don't have, I had plenty of bills. I had, college debt. I mean, I had things that had to be paid, right? So I thought of all those things for sure. Here's what's crazy what happened. That year I deleted everything. I went more places around the world. It was the wildest year. Like I got more gigs. I had too many events. I went all over Canada, South America, Europe, and I think Jerusalem.
How did they know about you?
Word of mouth. And I say God. And I was playing in front of big crowds in a lot of places,
and
right?
People heard you.
Yes.
Did that continue?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so 2020 hit.
Oh, well, then COVID.
I was in Jerusalem in March of 2020, leading worship. And mind you, that year I just played my biggest show yet. It was 10,000 people in DC. It was amazing. And here's one thing that came up that really, I felt it deeply. I remember playing the show. It's 10,000 people. It's 2020. I remember people coming like, dude, you made it, bro. This is incredible, blah, blah. And this thing like came up in me that was like, I wish I could post this so people could see me, that they can know that I'm doing this thing, right? And when I felt that, I was like, ooh, you know, I didn't like that about that experience, because it was like, here's this thing I'm doing and I deeply want to be seen, known, and loved, like all of us. And this is and I thought about a couple ladies, you know, that I'd like to see me playing in front of all these people, you know what I mean? And it really, it was a kind of a turning moment where I was like, well, I'm definitely noticing that me sharing me all the time is affecting my perception of reality and of myself and who I am and who I'm called to be. I was looking for affirmation. I love the like button, like we all do. I was getting just as much dopamine as everybody else. I'd look at all my comments. I'd look at who liked it, who didn't, how many likes I got. I was addicted to all these things. You know, we'll get into all the mechanisms at play that are doing that to us. But that really was a kind of turning point where I'm like, I don't think I'm ever going to go back to these platforms in this capacity, right? So that was 2020. I'm in Jerusalem in 2020. March, I'm playing in the holiest places in the world, right? And COVID's hitting. That's early on, right? So I'm at that point where I'm flying back. Literally, COVID's hitting our hotel in Jerusalem, and I'm like, oh, we're all going to die. At this time, I'm living
and no
in
social media to talk about.
Right.
And an anonymous death like the Carthusians.
Yeah, right. And I flew back home here because I'm like, if we're all going to die, I want to be surfing at least, you know, while this is happening.
You're not allowed to surf during COVID.
I know. We got in trouble. But anyway, I went back to surf and be with my family.
Because the ocean might give you COVID.
That's right. Because there's COVID on the ocean. Yeah.
Floating.
Right.
Yeah.
I came to very different conclusions with that whole experience, which we don't have to talk about here. But I'm home, and the funny thing is, during that time, I'm like, everything turned to Zoom. All my events were on Zoom, and I literally started this. It was like a live. I just used the live Instagram thing where I like interviewed friends or whatever. And
so you did go on Instagram.
Yeah. So I like literally went back. I'm like,
wow.
Okay, I'm going to do this for 2 months during quarantine. And when quarantine's done, I'm just going to get off this, but I'm going to have these like interviews. And we just talked about scripture each day, and it was kind of cool. Even at that moment when I had that again, I found myself scrolling again. I found myself comparing again. I found myself seeing things online that were not helping my purity. It's like this, all the same things came back. And mind you, prior to 2018, I tried to be moderate like multiple times. I did the month fast, I did the 3 months. Okay, I'm just going to go in here. I could never find that moderation. Abigail Shrier says that when we talk about moderation in regards to technology with teenagers, at least, it's like nurses going to high schools telling students to moderate ecstasy. It's the wrong conversation, right?
Walk us through why that is, though. Like, and folks listening, you know, most people by now have heard a study, or maybe they were familiar with Jonathan Haidt, The Anxious Generation, his amazing New York Times bestselling book. I know there's an article that you sent us about the devil's plan to ruin the next generation, which we're going to talk about. But give us, what are, would you say, the most compelling data points that every person you think should know about the negative consequences of social media use? In terms of its drug-like capacity to addict us and to short circuit our brains and harm us ultimately.
And this is great. This can take us down like a very deep, long rabbit hole. So if you need to bring me back to what we were unpacking prior, let me know.
Let's start walking into the rabbit hole, at least a little bit.
I love this. You're very good at this.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so this is a really good quote that I think you have to start with. First, okay, actually there's a few things to walk into this. Okay, so we have to think about this precautionary principle that has not been applied to these technologies, right? Again, think of technology as a light bulb, the car, the train. Media has its own technologies, the printing press, computers, etc. So, and Neil Postman, said this as well, is that, to begin a critique of technology, one must first acknowledge its success. So I have to, as a critic of a lot of these media platforms and technologies, I have to acknowledge technology has given us incredible, amazing goods. This is the best time to be alive, full stop, for many reasons. Now, in Anna Lemke's book, Dr. John Finucane, she quotes, he's a Johns Hopkins professor. He says, quote, "We are cacti in a rainforest. simply meaning that because of the abundance that technologies have created, there's been incredible trade-offs that have happened because of this, right? So this precautionary principle looks at different technologies and actually says, okay, what's the possible trade-offs of some of these things? No one gave us any informed consent when we were given a smartphone that, hey, this could actually really affect your attention. This could actually really affect your mental health. This is going to have a library of pornography that's incredibly addictive, more than methamphetamine. This is going to largely create a lot of issues with your sleep and, a whole plethora of other things.
And it'll distract you from your real world relationships.
Right.
It's a physical time commitment
Right.
that you're not realizing fully you're signing up for.
Right.
That when you're on now, with your friends, with your kids, with your spouse, with your parents,
Right.
this is going to be popping up to
Right.
command your attention.
So no one entered into these technologies with any precautionary principle. What's the possible trade? We just went into this. I got my smartphone. I don't even remember the day I got it, to be honest. It was a part of my life. There's literally a clinical diagnosis now called nomophobia, which is a phobia of being separated from your device, which I think we all experience to some capacity. But young people are literally having full-on panic attacks if they have any time of separation from the device. So it's literally becoming a part of us, right, to a certain degree.
Well, mine's right here.
Yeah.
Full disclosure,
Yeah,
guys.
Right.
It's my baby right here.
Right.
I have it in part because I reference it for interviews, but
Yeah.
I mean, I guess sometimes it's in my bag, but yeah.
Yeah, really fun.
It's true. It's with me a lot.
Yeah.
Most of my time.
But it's also because the tools are so mixed together, right?
Where's your phone, by the way?
It's over there. I have a LightPhone.
It's a flip phone or no?
It's called the LightPhone. It's a dumb phone.
Okay.
I'll show it to you. You'll like it.
Well, we should actually look at it during the interview.
Yeah, that'd be great. Sandy, if you want to go get it.
But you were in the rabbit hole. I want to keep going.
Yeah, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep venturing through this intellectual realm. So this precautionary principle, we have to understand, no one told us what was going to happen to us. We really think as a species that convenience is the best thing in all situations, all times. My argument actually, and this is in a lot of The Comfort Crisis with Michael Easter, his book, comfort's killing us in a lot of different ways. And the convenience of a lot of these communication platforms and a lot of these social media platforms are creating a lot of problems, right? So convenience, we have to think, it's not always a good thing. Think of McDonald's, right? Incredibly convenient. If you eat McDonald's every day, you are going to get incredibly sick. So right now, your average screen time for young people is about 8 hours and 39 minutes a day.
For young people, what's that age group?
So that's high school and young adults.
High schoolers are spending an average of 8 hours a day on the screen.
8 hours and 39 minutes a day.
But what about school? Is some of that
question. So there's a big transition now of obviously schools getting out of, or phones getting out of schools in the daytime, but this is literally after school, still racking up 8 hours.
Okay.
Low income communities.
I mean, I believe you, but so there's 24 hours in a day. Let's just say you're sleeping 8 hours, which I know a lot of high school kids aren't. That's part of the problem.
Yeah.
They're on their devices till 1 a.m.
Yeah.
But so if they're in school for 8 hours?
Yeah.
I was homeschooled. So how long do you go to school? You went to real school.
I went to real school.
Was it 8 hours a day?
I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
8 to
8
3.
hours. Then I guess, there's another 8 hours that you could be on that phone.
Yeah.
If you're sleeping 8 hours, you're on your phone 8 hours,
Yeah.
and then you are in school for 8 hours.
It's insane. I mean, I
believe it.
I was on a retreat once and talking to, kids, and I was like, raise your hand if you feel like you don't hear God. Some kids raised their hand, and I was like, what's your screen time? One kid's screen time was 14 hours a day. This is actually pretty common, actually. So here...
Sorry to interrupt so many times, but just to get to the bottom of this in particular. For example, my screen time includes text time. It includes maps time.
Yes.
This is my excuse, I guess, right? Yeah, text time, maps time.
Yes.
Basically, any app on the phone is considered screen time.
Correct.
Including actually a phone call.
Yes.
So how much of that 8 hours?
Yeah, let's break those down. So about 5.5 hours is the average social media time that young people are on social media. So after 30 minutes, you are 2xing your risk of depression and anxiety.
After 30 minutes on social media.
After 30 minutes on social media, you are double Xing your risk of mood disorders, anxiety, and depression. Now, and I don't think this is so here's the thing too. This is why this is so complex. It's impacting different generations in many different ways, right? So it's up to 10 hours actually screen time for low income communities, which is even more horrible, I think. In a lot of
I've noticed when there's children after school, the parents are working.
Correct.
A lot. And higher income families can work a lot too. So it's not but they might be, if they're doing janitorial work or they're doing retail work, they're going to be out doing that. And the kid is going to be on a screen.
Right.
And that's their after school program is watching cartoons.
Totally.
It's really hard to find good content to watch with my kids for when they are allowed to have screen time. I'm always on the lookout for low stimulating, story-driven, and values-based kids content. That's why I'm very excited about Brave Plus. Brave Plus is a new streaming platform with content that reinforces our values instead of undermining them. Every show is vetted by real Christian parents, not only to screen out messages that are harmful, but to also avoid overstimulating video content that's linked to mental and behavioral issues. Brave Plus only accepts 1 in every 20 shows that they review. When you check it out, you'll find classics like Strawberry Shortcake, Babar, Paddington, as well as new shows like season 2 of Iggy and Mr. Kirk, starring Kirk Cameron. And right now, just for my listeners, you can try Brave Plus free for 7 days. Go to braveplus.com/Lila. That's braveplus.com/Lila for a free 7-day trial. It's a cruel irony that most diaper companies in America support pro-abortion groups. Every Life is America's only pro-life baby product and feminine care product company. Every Life offers best-in-class diapers, wipes, and other baby products, as well as their brand new women's line with pads and tampons made with 100% GOTS-certified organic cotton and breathable, seamless period underwear. These are the products that I use for myself at home as well as for my babies. Head over to everylife.com/Lila today and use my code Lila for 10% off your first order. Support babies and mothers and sign yourself or a loved one up and their baby today over at everylife.com/Lila.
So here's a projection of what this looks like, though, in young people's lives. Your average 18-year-old, if you break down your life into months, right? Your average 18-year-old with a 90-year lifespan, third of your life is asleep, right? There's like 27 months, like, working. There's like 22 months in the bathroom or something hilarious like that. Break it down. There's about 334 months of free time that you're going to have. Right now, for young people with an average lifespan of 90 years, 18-year-olds, are on pace to spend 93% of that time on a screen, which is going to amount to 27 years of their life on a screen.
This is wild, but it's extremely fascinating and important what you're saying.
Yeah.
So if you break up 90 years of life, which is a long lifespan, into months, 22 months in the bathroom.
There's some fun
something like that.
Yeah. You break down like this, these amount of months is work. This is like going to be...
So the 330-ish months of free time over a 90-year lifespan, after you take out personal care, eating, sleeping, and you take out work. Mm-hmm. So this would be like time you could be...
This is when you're falling in love. This is when you're going on trips. This is when you're playing an instrument. This is when you're reading a book. This is when you're learning a new recipe. Like, name the human things that we're losing. 93% of that time right now for them is going to be spent on the screen. And they're going to look back on their life and look at 27 years of screen time. So really a huge part of why I'm doing what I'm doing is I want to help people get their time back into their lives. I was just on Tammy Peterson's show and shared this data. I was like, talked to a lot of pastors and people that, accompany people on their deathbed. And what do people talk about when they're dying? I'm very interested in that topic. And guess what? It's not the company you built. It's not how much money you had. It's not how many followers you've had. It's not how much Netflix you watched even. It's not the movies. It's not anything but people. It relates to regrets with not spending enough time with people or wishing they did more things with people. And Tammy's like, I can confirm that when I was dying, because Tammy was dying, cancer, she said she literally thought of her son and thought of her son having children. It's all people orientated. So I think what I'm realizing is that it's not necessarily what the phone is doing to us and screens are doing to us. It's what they're undoing in our lives. It's what they're eroding. I think that is actually more alarming than what they're giving us, because they seem to give us a lot, but they're actually designed to take away more from us than they give. So this is where we maybe get back into a little bit of the history of these platforms. This is from Sean Parker. He's the founding president of Facebook with Zuckerberg. This quote's in every book, so I'm just going to give kind of high-level points to help people understand the history of these technologies, how they were designed, and how they're manipulating us, and then your decision on how you want to use them. Because ultimately, I'm realizing, social media is not going away. For me, it's been better to not participate in that. But I get for people's businesses or for Facebook Marketplace, like there's things in that I realize people are utilizing for good, which is obviously a lot of my friends, that I realize have their place. But we have to understand the trade-offs are massive for most people, right?
Well, you're going to read that quote and what we're going to get to. And I know we've sat in like, let's be sure to talk about this with Humanality. all of what you're doing is laying the groundwork for the problem,
Yes.
to wake up to the problem, be very sober-minded about what are we actually dealing with. And then there is a solution. And so I'm excited to get to that.
Yes, we're going to get to very happy stuff. This is all the intense stuff that like I read every day that's super depressing. Like it's really hard sometimes to be happy when I understand the amount that's happening in the world in people's lives. And mind you, I'm on the road speaking all over the world essentially on this topic. I have 6th grade girls coming up to me telling me TikTok's ruining their life.
Yes. People are dying because of TikTok.
I have a story with that too. Maybe remind me that story after this.
The dying TikTok story.
Well, sadly connected to Snapchat, but I would like to share that story. This is Sean Parker, the founding president of Facebook. He says, quote, "The thought process that went into building these applications, Facebook being the first of them, was all about, quote, how do we consume as much of your time and conscious attention as possible? And that means we need to sort of give you a little dopamine hit every once in a while because someone liked or commented on a post or a photo or whatever. And that's going to get you to contribute more content. And that's going to get you more likes and comments. It's a social validation feedback loop. Exactly the kind of thing that a hacker like myself would come up with because you're exploiting a vulnerability in human psychology. It's Kevin Systrom on Instagram. It's Zuckerberg. It's all these people understood this consciously and we did it anyway. So you have to understand that people that created these technologies were purposely trying to consume our attention. So here's the genesis of that. There's a few important names. We'll get into some of the science. B.F. Skinner's one of them. B.J. Fogg's another one. I don't know what the B thing is with these like psychology professors, but it starts with Skinner cages, right? Have you heard of the Skinner cages?
Tell me, what is
essentially
Skinner
these studies
cage?
with rats that actually showed that, it was how they were getting addicted to different, drugs. And it was really trying to, unpack addiction science, right? So they put them in Skinner cages. They saw
what is a Skinner cage?
It was essentially B.F. Skinner was a psychologist that created these environments for rats
to do testing
on them. And they were incredibly isolated and they got addicted to the morphine. And they noticed instead of just giving it a perfect hit at the same time, they noticed that this intermittent positive feedback or variable reward system made the rats more addicted to the drug. So instead of just knowing at a perfect time they're going to get it, it was the uncertainty, the novelty that created addiction, right? Now think of every slot machine, think of every social media swipe. It's all novelty and intermittent positive feedback. So guys like BJ Fogg, he's teaching in the 1990s, I think, at the Stanford Persuasive Technology Lab. Do you want to know the name of the website for this lab? I'll tell you, Lila. It is machines designed to change humans.com.
Is it still up?
I don't know, actually. Stanford designed to change humans.
Designed to change humans.com. This is definitely a 90s era.
100%.
It doesn't look like it exists.
They probably
anymore.
took it down.
Yeah, I'm like, that's not a good look anymore.
Yeah, not a good look anymore.
People are,
just like Google took out of actually their company, Don't Be Evil. They took that out in 2018. I know. That's a fun fact.
The Wayback Machine. Okay, keep going.
So anyway,
I'm actually curious about the Wayback Machine now, but
BJ Fogg has this class now called the Facebook class. Now, this is all of your founders of all of the major tech platforms you can think of. He starts to teach them these Skinner principles and many other different principles on how to addict people and change their human behavior through incentives, right? He calls them putting hot triggers in front of motivated people was one of his main quotes. So he took this Facebook class, was sharing these studies from B.F. Skinner and others called behaviorism. This is literally how to manipulate people's behavior, and showed that actually with those principles, they were applied. They used them in 10 weeks. They created over $16 million of revenue and like 1 million users on some app.
This was what year?
This was like in the early 90s.
Okay.
And voila, all of your social media platforms are born. So they start with BJ Fogg, and he's tried to, share that he's not, he regrets, I think, a lot of these things. You start to find out a lot of these guys knew what they were doing and knew that this would literally transform the way people thought. They related to themselves and each other. So BJ Fogg started with these kind of principles, this equation, B equals MAT. Behavior change equals motivation, ability, and trigger. So now think of every social media platform to change our motivation. We're social creatures. So Daniel Lieberman, I think he's at UCLA, neuroscientist, talks about how actually our brains reflexively think social. And this is how God created us, right? So this is what's so amazing. God created us to be social creatures. These platforms are actually hijacking this deep gift that God has given us for the social. Literally, Daniel Lieberman talks about this. Our brain's reflex is to think about people. right? So these platforms are preying upon us in these multiple different ways, all using this equation. Behavior equals motivation, ability, trigger. What's our motivation? It's to be social. Most of social media is just people watching. When you kind of get above what you're scrolling, you're just watching people because we're social, right? So they know that. They know our deepest motivation, especially for teenagers, is a social, right? Remember me in high school, I changed the way I dressed. I had to start cussing. I had to start listening to Usher and do the drugs and go to the parties to fit in, right? Because as social creatures at that development time, we need connection. We can't get out of the tribe. If we get pushed out of the tribe, that's death, right? Now, go into a digital framework. You're getting a dopamine hit with this intermittent positive feedback, this variable reward system, because you don't know what's coming next. That keeps you in the scroll. And I know you know about dopamine, right? So dopamine is this neurotransmitter in the brain, makes you feel good. Again, a gift from God. If you don't have dopamine, you die, right? Makes you feel really good when you eat.
If you don't have dopamine, you die?
Well, because you'll have no motivation. You'll lose all motivation. So Anna Lemke talks about this too in her book, Dopamine Nation, but that anticipatory motivation for the social is what keeps you in the doom scroll. And literally gaming, this is Dr. Nicholas Karadaris's work. He wrote a book called Glow Kids and Digital Madness. He's on our board of advisors, but he talks about actually the dopamine released during gaming in 1998 was 100%. It was 100% increase from your base level dopamine state with gaming in 1998. Guess what else releases dopamine at 100%? Sex. So sex is usually a time limited thing, and with gaming, it can actually be 12 plus hours long of gaming on these platforms that is increasing these super physiological states of dopamine, right? Now think of your social media platforms. Super physiological. I talked to a lot of people and I experienced this myself. There's this almost loss of time, right? That happens. You don't realize how long you're scrolling. Hours can go by. It's because you're getting a dopamine hit of novelty from this variable reward system in the brain that is keeping you glued to more, right? So what does that do to us after? It's a crash. There's all these studies that show that Facebook depression is actually a real thing. And actually this euphoric recall is what they call it. So when you scroll for a long time after Facebook, you most likely feel depressed after. Here's the thing, Lila, I've never heard anyone in all the years I've kind of been thinking about this, talking about this, after 4 hours of scrolling, name a social media platform, that people are like, oh my gosh, the world is in such a great place. I love my life and I can't wait to do my 3 a.m. workout tomorrow morning. Most people after a scroll are like, what did I do with my time? That was incredibly wasteful.
And we're all going to die because AI is going to take over the world, which it might be.
Right.
It might be. And we will all die.
Right.
Because we do die.
Right.
But
Right. But it's this thing called euphoric recall. We look back on that dopamine experience of feeling good about watching people. And again, this is what's so difficult. I love that we get to watch our grandma and I love that I can FaceTime my grandpa. And, there is something good within that. That's why it's really hard to nuance this. But along with that viewing of what your friend is doing over there, you're also getting a really angry person who's talking about something political, right? You're also getting something I literally remember watching on my Instagram scroll, like the Sri Lankan tsunamis, literally watched the guy just get hit by a 30-foot tsunami and die. And then I went on to my next scroll.
Yeah. It's
right. So there's so much happening. But so these guys founding these companies knew this. Steve Jobs in the 2010 interview was asked, how are your kids loving the new iPad? He said, we do not give them these technologies. We limit their use. Chamath also worked with Facebook starting, and he literally said, quote, I don't use this crap. I don't even give this to my kids. All of the founders of all these big tech platforms went to what's called Waldorf schools, which are low tech to zero tech schools, and they don't send their kids to schools with technology. So when they aren't getting high on their own supply, it's something to acknowledge, right? Because it's shaping who we are. So that's two major mechanisms, right? Social approval. It's huge. I can't even dive into how deep that is, especially for young people, on why we're stuck in these platforms. And then the intermittent positive feedback. Those are two really big mechanisms that are being deployed on purpose. So again, that's motivation. Now let's think of the ability. The convenience of the ease of these technologies creates that misuse of it, right? There's no friction. So if you read Atomic Habits and you look at James Clear's work on changing habits, right? A huge part of what he talks about is creating friction in some of these, conveniences that are maybe detrimental in our life.
What does that mean?
So friction is just making something a little bit more difficult. So instead of your Instagram being on your phone, put it on your computer.
So this is Atomic Habits. Who's the author again?
James Clear.
And it's his advice for how to create better habits or root out bad habits.
Yes.
And to root out the bad habits, you need to create the thing that you were doing that was easy and fun and comfortable that you're addicted to, make it harder to do.
Yes. And this is what's so hard about the addiction to technology.
So if you love to eat Oreo cookies, don't put them in the house. You have to go to the grocery store, buy the cookies.
Just like you've never put alcohol in a room with an alcoholic.
Or if you have a porn habit,
yes,
you should install Covenant Eyes on your phone.
Yes.
Use the code Lila. But
nice.
1 month free. What is it? Anyways, Covenant Eyes is great. But you make it harder to do the bad thing.
Correct. No, this is what's so hard with the phone and with the screen. Just to your point, you have maps, you have communication, you have information. The information is ubiquitous, right? But the impact of being, again, omnipresent, what's happening, and this is in Nicholas Carr's book, The Shallows, and his latest book, Super Bloom, I highly recommend. He talks about the reality that when we were being proposed all these technologies, when Zuckerberg named the guy, we're going to connect the world, right? What were they saying? This is going to be the most incredible thing ever. We're going to connect the world, right? We didn't realize that connecting the world would have so many trade-offs, right? Polarization. Think about how many families don't talk to each other now, family members, because of stuff people are posting online politically. It's destroying so many relationships in so many different ways, right?
Just because of people voicing opinions, sometimes bad opinions, terrible opinions, but they see the family member doing it and they're like, well, I can't have you over for dinner.
Totally. I mean, literally, there's people that Nicholas Carr quotes that were talking about that electronic communication is literally going to abolish war. It's going to abolish war. It's going to create this incredible socioeconomic equality. Like, people are going to have more understanding and information and be empowered. We're seeing actually the complete opposite. There's a study called Brain Drain, I think it was 2017, that actually just showed researchers took students, they put them in a room, had them do different cognitive tests, IQ tests, all these things, had the phone completely outside the room. As the phone got closer and they took cognitive tests, their scores declined. Even the phone next to them, face down, not on, their performance on the cognitive test decreased.
Because there was like a hyper alert.
Just the mere presence is literally
like
draining
awareness.
Mental energy away from us, right?
This is all very compelling, of course, but just to play devil's advocate for a moment.
I like this.
There is, of course, the trade-offs like you keep mentioning. And I've seen just in my bubble, let's call it, or my little anecdotes of pro-life activism. Live Action has like now over combined 8 million social media followers, right? 3 billion video views, all of this. And it's all amazing. This pro-life content that clearly you're not one of the followers or the views, but that's okay. But it's all this pro-life content and it's exposing abortion. It's celebrating human dignity. So the content curation is extraordinarily intentional.
Right.
So this is not designed to get you to want to upgrade your house, your car, your outfit. Right. It's not designed to be like, look, I'm so cool and you're not. It's designed to help you feel sympathy, empathy for the unborn baby and see that abortion is bad and connect people to resources. So we're a hub to connect people to the, thousands of pregnancy resource centers out there and all of this, right?
Yeah.
If you could give me a button that I could press that would delete all social media everywhere for everyone, I would press that button.
Yeah.
But because because there's people promoting abortion, misinformation relentlessly online, and they have more money than we do by like 100x. And the tech overlords are all pro-aborts, right? So you're dealing with that. So I would press the delete button for the whole world if I could, but provided we don't have the delete button. Obviously we are out there. So I guess I'm answering my own question. I was going to do the devil's advocate of like, can the good outweigh the bad?
Yes.
Well, can the good outweigh the bad if people used it responsibly? Or if the tech overlords took out some of these incentives that are so pernicious to make people continue to click, click, click?
Yes, I love this question. And I want to acknowledge again how nuanced and complex this is and how we're literally in a storm. And we're navigating a digital overwhelmed world where there's people literally doing amazing things like you're doing in this realm. And then also, the plethora of other things that are happening, right? So I'm trying to look at this at a macro level and then a personal level and see what the data is pointing to, and then really hear what is going to be the best way to move forward in your day-to-day. And so there's a lot to unpack there, particularly, I think I want to keep diving in a little bit more to exactly how this is impacting the individual person, because I think it'll connect to your point with continuing to pump out all this amazing content, because if people are on these things, this is how they're going to engage with that information. Now, it's really hard to have some type of metric to say how many people have watched how many good videos and how has that changed their thinking and their life and their actions, and I guarantee you there's so many conversations of really good people that we all know that are doing great things that are creating incredible fruit in a lot of people's lives, right? So I can't deny the good that can come out of it. To me, per person right now, depending on, your relationship with this supercomputer in your pocket, it's really hard to give a one-size-fits-all answer to a very complex situation. Because if you are 90 years old right now, you had most of your life to develop neurologically, relationally, career-wise. Boomers are having a very different experience from this.
Boomers
Gen
are doing
Z.
great.
Boomers got money. They're doing great. They have friends. I see most boomers around walking, getting outside. They're doing things. They're bike riding.
They're so on top of it.
They're doing it.
I think there's a subset of boomers who are actually really unhappy because they feel like their family ties have disintegrated.
Well, that's also this whole no contact thing happens.
But generally speaking, I think, it would be interesting, like the health, actually, this is a really interesting question. Are the health outcomes for boomers better than they're anticipated to be for Gen Xers and millennials?
Oh, it has to be. So we're also
there has to be.
We're also in a chronic disease epidemic, obesity epidemic, loneliness epidemic. These epidemics. But
that's hitting the younger demos harder.
Younger,
I like testosterone. I've heard younger men have dramatically lower testosterone at large than their predecessors.
Yes.
That's just one example.
There's a lot of reasons to that, largely due to technology.
Really?
Dr. Kardaras said, we're not designed to be sedentary, screen-staring, meaning-devoid creatures. So what builds testosterone? Sunlight, lifting heavy things, low-level movement throughout the day. We get none of those things. We're sitting 8 hours a day. Anna Lemke talks about this. 100 years ago, we were outside working 6.5 days a week, 10 to 12-hour days, with about 2.5 hours of leisure a day. Right now, fast forward 100 years, we are indoors 97 to 98% of the time, and we have about 5.5 hours of leisure a day. We invest all that back into technology. That's the average screen time actually for the adult. So all the washing machine, the dryer, your sink, the car, all these time-saving technologies have given us back incredible time, but we're actually wasting that time on mostly useless technological interactions.
Or I've noticed we are working more.
That too.
A lot of the white-collar jobs today, and I'm not saying blue-collar jobs, you don't work more too, but like if you have a boss in corporate America, whether you are an attorney or you're working in business or tech or whatever, there's this expectation of working in the evenings.
Yes.
And early mornings and weekends. Yes,
you're always on. You're never off. You got to check emails all day, read messages all day. So I want to dive into more of the trade-offs still, because I think it's going to better answer your question of ultimately, okay, does the good outweigh the bad in these certain circumstances? So there's a lot of trade-offs happening right now. Our attention span now, 2013, Microsoft had a study that showed our attention span has now fallen below the goldfish. The goldfish is at 9 seconds. The human person now is at 8 seconds. Okay, so our attention span is falling.
But what is it supposed to be at?
I don't know if it's quote supposed to be at anything, but it's falling.
What was it before technology?
That's a great question. Yeah, that study was simply quoting that we've fallen behind the goldfish, which is unfortunate.
I'm curious about that. What should the average?
Yeah.
I mean, I just very anecdotally, I look at the letters that soldiers would write their families during the Civil War.
Yeah.
I look at the letters that Roman soldiers would write their families during the Roman wars against the barbarians or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm shocked at the eloquence and the thoughtfulness of these letters. And then I look at the sorts of notes and letters that are written to each other today.
Yeah.
And they are love you, thanks, you're the best, I love you so much. We don't even know how to communicate in long form with each other anymore.
Yes. I love letter writing. I'm trying to bring it back. We're trying to bring it back. If you want to write a letter, go to Humanality.org.
I remember doing that in high school. I would write my friends. We would pen pal. We'd write, and I have this box in my attic of these beautiful letters that I received.
I love that.
Because I would receive and write them. And my husband, thankfully, when we were dating, he would still write me beautiful letters, and I would write him some, I guess, maybe not as good as his, because he's so smart and he's such a good writer. But I think about right now, do I write any letters? I mean, I write emails.
Yeah.
But when was the last time I wrote a handwritten letter to somebody?
I'm trying to journal my letters. Yeah. It's hard for my...
But it's because why would you take time to write a letter when you could send a text
Right.
and the text would say, I love you.
Right.
And they get it immediately. You know, they're going to be touched by it. They're going to feel affirmed and they got it. You did it. So why would you write that person a letter?
Yeah. There's something so special about letters though.
I'm saying, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. No, but to your point too, that's again, this is a trade-off.
It's convenience.
Yeah. Let's go through a little bit more of the trade-offs because it's vast, right? So when you're entering in the digital landscape of a personal supercomputer, there's more, and I just want to hit this briefly because it is part of my experience too. And I think it will answer, again, some of this question more, taking into account, is this a greater risk for you to be on every platform and have a supercomputer in your pocket, or is it better to remove yourself from these completely? Right now, there's more views each month to pornography than X, Netflix, OpenAI, and Zoom and Amazon combined, right? So there's more traffic to these sites than any of these other platforms, right? Average age is 11, getting close to 7.
Average onset age?
Onset age of exposure is 11, getting closer to 7. So that's a huge topic right in itself, the way that's warping the human brain. Obviously, dopamine, we'd go into that a lot with our curriculum. And that's if you are a high school student with no boundaries and no guardrails, with that, you are looking at pornography. There's no way you're not somehow being exposed, at least, right? Massive risk, going to affect your future in every way possible. There's literally, Dr. Kardaras talks about this. There's different seminars he's been going to where physicians are literally talking about erectile dysfunction in high school students. I mean, if you want to have an amazing, intimate...
Like compulsive masturbation.
Oh, yeah. But if you want to have an amazing, intimate sex life with one person for the rest of your life, the worst thing you can do is be addicted to porn, throughout your childhood, right? So huge risk, right? Can't even go into the depth of how big that risk is. Then obviously the mental health crisis, which is largely unfolding with Gen Z, right? Which all the data shows, Jonathan Haidt's work, it's 100%, over 100% increase in anxiety since 2010, depression since 2010. Self-harm has quadrupled amongst 10 to 14-year-old girls the last 10 years. These body image issues, there's literally a diagnosis now called Snapchat dysphoria, where young girls are going to plastic surgeons to literally manipulate their face to look like their Snapchat
it's
filters.
An Instagram thing too.
Yeah, it's
and TikTok. Too. But yeah, I think there's like the Kardashian look that everybody has to have like really big lips.
Yes.
And the Kardashians are lovely ladies. I'm not trying to, fault their physiques, but they've obviously achieved a certain look using augmentation, using plastic surgery, and they're open about it. They talk about it. And so it's between a certain shape of the nose, a certain shape of the lips, certain, even the brow. I think there's a huge popular wave I'm seeing. It's called, what is it called? It's for blephosty. What is it called? Upper bleph is what it's called. Basically, they cut their eyelids to lift their eyebrows.
Yeah.
But it's all because of how you look in pictures. This is what I've been a quick rant.
Yeah, let's go. Rant me.
When you meet people who have had plastic surgery done, you can tell most of the time. There's some very light Botox maybe that you won't notice, right? But with lip fillers, you can tell most of the time with lip fillers, as an example, or, certain facial things that are done. On social media, it's how you photograph. It looks maybe great, or it looks like how AI would look, or the Kardashians or whatever, but in real life. So it's like you're getting the plastic surgery done for how you look on Instagram or on TikTok. Right. It's not even for how you look in real life.
Right.
Because in real life, people actually like more natural faces. And there's studies that have been done that prove this.
I like that. I mean, let's just keep going.
But again, technology is influencing us to literally change our bodies, not just to be addicted and screen time, but to change our bodies for how we're going to look on technology.
100%. And this is why it's so important to understand all of the trade-offs that are happening. I don't think parents or millennials, I don't think most people know how bad it is. And that's why I think these conversations to me are more, I want this to be more informational that leads to action. I don't want this to be entertainment, right? I don't want people to view this and be like, oh, wow, that's really sad. Like, I'm not going to do anything about it. Neil Postman's greatest fear is that politics and religion in a new medium, right? Marshall McLuhan said the medium is the message, right? The medium is shaping us. Like in this digital world that people are viewing us, right now, like this is shaping your thinking, your reality, your actions. His greatest fear was that we would turn religion and politics, two incredibly important topics, into entertainment, right? And I think we're entertaining ourselves to death, right? If Neil Postman's book, Amusing Ourselves to Death, is actually what's happening. But let's keep going. So you have TikTok Tourette syndrome. TikTok Tourette syndrome is a real diagnosis that is happening where people are manifesting Tourette's from TikTok, where influencers in the mental health space that are, actually have this diagnosis through social contagion effect. I talked to Jordan Peterson about this, and I asked Jordan, I was like, is this a real thing? And he's like, social contagion effect is nothing new. There's hysterical dancing that happened, the last, like 2 centuries or something. Like social contagion is a very well documented phenomenon. There's literally people that don't have Tourette's that are watching these influencers with Tourette's and manifesting Tourette syndromes and going into hospitals and being diagnosed, right? So
by Tourette's, you mean like just having tics?
Yes. Yes.
Whatever.
But they don't, but they don't have them. They don't have them. They literally will do these detoxes for 2 weeks.
Isn't that the entire transgender ideology wave? If that 100%. There's like what's the number? Is it a fifth of students? Or there's like some crazy percentage. It's like 10% to 20% of young people think they might be the other gender. Yeah. Can you look it up, Harris, actually?
There's been a 1,400% increase, at least in Ireland, I was just reading, of transgender. And I think Cardaris talks about a 4,000% increase once these technologies were released. So here's the 2010 number when Jonathan Haidt's talking about. What happened in 2010 where all this just got ramped up? Do you actually know what he says in this?
No, tell me.
I think it's real. The front-facing camera on the smartphone.
Wow.
Because all of a sudden, life became something that was performed. Nicholas Carr talks about this. We are now the watcher and the watched.
So the sharp decline in mental health.
Yes.
The sharp increase in these social contagion illnesses.
Yes.
Including, I would say, transgenderism.
Yes.
And I think LGBTQ identification has like just mushroomed in the last decade. Jonathan Haidt says it starts with the front-facing camera on the iPhone.
2010 is when that came out, yeah. I think it's a huge
that makes
contributor.
sense because that is it is a curious design because I remember, you mentioned self-harm. Yeah. What was the increased number for self-harm in young people?
It's quadrupled amongst 10 to 14-year-old girls specifically.
In the last decade or what's the time frame? In high school, I remember Zanga. I would journal on Zanga. Do you remember Zanga?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay. I wasn't really MySpace. I was Zanga. Okay. But anyways, we would journal and I had my girlfriends but there was a social contagion of self-harm in my friend group. All these girls having existential crises, going through puberty, we didn't have very good support, some of us. Yeah. Anyways, everyone was self-harming. One girl starts out. I experimented with it at a certain point because I was suffering depression. Anyways, it was all connected to social contagion.
Yeah.
And this was before. I didn't grow up with TikTok. I did not grow up with Instagram. Right. Thanks be to God. I didn't have those things, right? Me. It would have, sounds like it would have ruined both of us even worse than, our issues were.
Right.
But I think about the fact that existed then. Like self-harm was an issue that was growing among young girls back in the early 2000s, right? Now it is like everywhere. And then there's the extreme self-harm of like, I'm going to be the other gender. I'm going to get a double mastectomy. I'm going to take hormones and stunt my puberty and my social development and everything else. And you're saying, and Jonathan Haidt saying, the real cliff moment for the changes here was 2010 with the iPhone's front-facing camera.
Yeah, and this is some of Carr's, critique too, is like now everyone is famous. Right? Your life, every moment of your day. Just think about your TikTok scroll, your Instagram scroll. It's people communicating, through screen ideas. Again, we're social creatures, so we're getting a dopamine hit from just learning what they're saying. But here's some of the other things that are being fractured, right? Is our attention span, but also our thinking. So Dr. Cardaris talks about this as well. We're actually experiencing more dichotomous thinking compared to spectrum thinking. And so dichotomous is really black and white, really binary. We actually can't think on a spectrum anymore. And that's actually what creates that's the best predictor of success. So Dr. Paul Torrance did this Torrance tolerance test. They followed university students out of Michigan like for 70 years or something like that and studied their trajectory, looked at their life, and actually showed that creativity was the best predictor of success in their life. It wasn't socioeconomic status, their IQ, or even the amount of money they made. It was the level of creativity that actually created the most success in their life. Sherry Turkle's talked about this in Reclaiming Attention and, Reclaiming Conversation and Alone Together. Those two books are crucial. But she's talking about this. We're in a creativity crisis. So we're not thinking about, again, all the other things that are happening. So while you're scrolling and possibly looking at something amazing, possibly looking at something bad, what it's eroding is actually your capacity for nuance and deep thinking. So Dr. Arthur Brooks talks about this. I'm sorry, I might steal some of his stuff for this next show. But, this default mode network of the brain, actually boredom is the birthplace. It's the oasis of creativity. So if you want to be successful in life, in business, and relationships, you want to prioritize creativity in your life for many different reasons. Again, just think of your normal scrolling day. You're actually being inundated with information on such a intensive overload that you aren't given the capacity to deeply think through these ideas. So here's what I even noticed in the podcast world. I am obsessed with information, right? I have a problem. I'm obsessed with knowledge. I was listening to podcasts on my drive, on my workout, on my walk, in bed. I wanted to learn at all times, right? I noticed that learning in this way, just even through podcasts, which are really good information, and it was Bishop Barron, and it was Name the People, and it was every health podcast you could ever imagine. I noticed I wasn't retaining a lot of information. I was indulging in a lot, but it wasn't actually creating real change in my life. It was mostly just turning into entertainment, and it wasn't being actualized, and it was also overwhelming me in many ways. So that's happening along as well. We're in an information overload, right? Just today on this show, there's going to be over 1 million downloads of a podcast onto the internet. There'll be enough information today for anyone who's going to live the next, 60, 70 years to not be able to listen to the amount of information just released today. So just think about how much information is happening, the amount of quantity. It's overwhelming, right?
You were saying something just a moment ago. It's all very compelling and important, but you were saying we are all like the number one predictor of success for anybody isn't socioeconomic, isn't IQ, isn't any of this. It is actually creativity, which is very human, made in God's image, because what is the creator designed us to be?
I've actually never made that connection.
We are to create, like that is, and that was the command to Adam and Eve is have dominion over the world, which is, use the created order and good to continue to create and to have life in full and abundant, and then multiply, literally co-create with me for new souls, to populate this beautiful world that I've created. So creation is is such a deeply and uniquely human thing because we're made in God's image, unlike any other animal in the animal kingdom. Anyways, and if we are crushing our ability to create, then we are hurting our own humanity and the future and every relationships, everything else. But then you said something about boredom. And is that connected, I'm going to guess, to leisure, like creating space where there's no agenda?
Yes.
Where
we don't know how to have leisure.
We don't know how to have leisure.
So I live in Lander, Wyoming right now, and that university, the students are not allowed to have cell phones. There's a no cell phone policy at Wyoming Catholic College. I literally go there and I'm looking at the 90s. I remember being shocked by this. I was just watching a kid at the bus stop, just looking around. It was so shocking to me because he wasn't looking down his phone. So
they can't even have the cell phone outside of the classroom.
No, there's no cell phones. You have to go to this university without a cell phone. It's hilarious.
How do you call people?
Can you
have a dumb phone?
Nope.
Is there a phone line?
I don't. Probably. Yeah. They
like in the dorm.
Probably. They tell people.
Do a dial.
Probably. They tell people, hey, go meet here. We're gonna have a party tonight, or
no computers.
They can use computers.
But that's not, they can't walk around. Obviously, the point is you can go sit down and do a dedicated work on a workstation computer, but you can't be walking around with a super computer in your pocket.
They're not allowed to have cell phones, no social media, all that stuff. I am literally watching an experiment. I mean, we're all in an experiment. This is what we have to understand. If you are a modern human being today with the supercomputer, you are in a social experiment, right? That I'm trying to unpack for the world what's happening to give us some real answers of how to move forward. And one of the other things that's really important on the creativity side and the boredom side is that, again, that default mode network of the brain, it has to turn on, and it doesn't turn on unless you're given space. So now think about all of our days, right? We're in constant communication. I think the text message has done more damage to humans than almost anything else. This is like
really?
I think the text message was so detrimental in so many ways and so great, right? This is, again, this infinite good and infinite bad. There's parents that tell me just text threads ruin their kid's life. And
what's the worst outcome in your view of the text message? I mean, we talked earlier, I don't write letters anymore to my friends. I text them.
Yeah. Well, this is for young people, obviously, more specifically. But I even think about myself, how many relationships were done over texting late into the night, someone not responding to my text, me watching that they've seen the text and didn't respond to the text, people breaking up over text. Again, there's so many possibilities on just the text message. It would take us the whole hour to go through. But for young people, specifically cyberbullying, sending bad images,
Sexting, yeah.
Just texting has this possibility of so many negative outcomes. And then it's great to check in with the family and send a fun picture and have the group text with the fam and send all these amazing things. So that's why, again, it's so difficult to make a prescription per person because it's going to be so individual.
Let's go to principles then, because I know this is what you do. And I think it's really important. You do obviously workshops and trainings on this, but for Humanality, what are your prescriptions?
Yes.
I know they include these principles for how to use social media technology. And, back to those Wyoming Catholic kids as an example for the college familiar with Lander, great spot. I think about them. I think, okay, if you're not using those media forms, so much of business today is driven by those media forms.
Totally.
And that's not going away, likely. And so how do you responsibly use it? Not just how do you responsibly use social media in your personal life if you're going to use it at all.
Right.
How do you responsibly use it if you are working?
Yes.
And you are creating, because a lot of creation is happening in a way that is more, that is less about like, how do I meet my immediate physical needs?
Right.
Like the robots are going to do that for us in the future, right? And it's more about, well, what are the very uniquely human things that I can create that maybe technology can help me do?
Right. Yes. So my idea, obviously reading like 40 plus topics on what this is doing to us, and we just scratched the surface of the problems that are unfolding, right? There's insane amount of more. And then there's a lot of good that's happening on a lot of these platforms, like this one we're on today, right? So for a personal prescription, right, on how to use this tech and how to let it not use you, you first have to understand, okay, what technologies are you going to interact with and how are you going to interact with them? So when you start our detox program, you start with your digital plan of life, right? So I stole that a little bit from Jose Maria Escriva, but this idea of creating a plan. Okay, so certain technologies I would say are upgrading our lives, and then certain technologies are downgrading our lives. For most people, I would say our age and younger, most people share with me, I don't hear anyone saying I want to scroll more. I don't really hear anyone coming to me saying, I want to be on my phone more. It's mostly, okay, I know I have to be on this. I can't get off of it. I wish I could do what you're doing, but I have to be on these things for XYZ. How do I get my time back, right? One of the things that's super important for longevity and health that we touched on is relationships. So the longest standing study since 1938 is the adult development study at Harvard. The number one data point from that is healthy relationships is the best predictor of longevity. Actually, more than diet, more than exercise, more than socioeconomic status, more than your area code, right? So right now there's a study called the American Usage of Time Study. It followed 15 to 24-year-olds from 2000 to 2019 and showed that their in-person FaceTime dropped from 167 minutes, I think, to 66 minutes a day.
No, wait, what?
So their amount of FaceTime per day was about 166 minutes a day at FaceTime.
Wait, what age group?
15 to 24.
So it used to be that if you're 15 to 24 years old, you had 166 minutes of FaceTime. And now the 15 to 24-year-olds have how much FaceTime?
It's like under 66 minutes, which per year is 400 less hours of relational FaceTime. 2/3 of Gen Z. Is this
all Americans or what cohort?
That's 15 to 24.
Are these Americans we're talking about? Sorry.
Yes.
Today.
Americans, yes.
That is insane.
And Gen Z says 2/3 of them prefer to communicate through a screen than in person. Right. So again, we have to
get the dopamine.
Right. We have to think about this in very different.
That's so wild.
There's different prescriptions again for different age groups. That's why this is going to be kind of hard to answer. But our movement is actually addressing the individual need of actually every generation, because the loneliness epidemic is happening to every generation, actually, to a certain degree. And again, if you want to increase your longevity and your health, you have to choose to be more human. This is really what I'm interested in. And this is what all of these topics unpack. So let's maybe get into the good side of this, right?
Let's do it.
There's amazing, practical daily habits you can change. They're going to improve your health, your mental health, your spiritual health, and your relational health. So after studying all this literature and all these different books, I'm like, what the heck are we supposed to do? And I create these 11 ways to be more human. Right. So let's unpack maybe just a couple of them. I won't have time to get into all of them.
Want to list those for us?
Yeah. So it's be free, be present, be light, be outside, be moving, be connected, be mindful, what's that one?
Be simple.
Be simple. That was what I missed. Be silent, be giving, and be human.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this is really, I love the happiness literature. This is why Dr. Brooks is like my boy, because ultimately I would say in a lot of our social media platforms and interactions, they are making us unhappy and largely tempting us into these 4 historical, Aristotelian, Thomistic ideas of fame, power, pleasure, and money, right? They're tempting us to these 4 perceptions of what's going to make us happy that ultimately don't, right? So again, this is what we have to think about when you're entering into an app. You're entering into a whole different world, right? That has a whole bunch of different risks. So you have to be willing to take on a certain amount of risks as you're entering into these platforms. And that's what you can only do for yourself. And I can't tell you what to do with that. I want to give you the best information I can of what it's doing to us and then give you the best solution for you, right? And again, this can be different for all ages. I've never gone up to people and said, and all my friends that know I'm on a LightPhone and don't have social media, I've hopefully made this like pretty clear. I don't judge people for being on these things. I don't tell people to get off of all these things and go live with the Amish. You know, I use technology every day, okay? I use it intentionally. That's limited with incredible intentional value-orientated ends, right? So Carlo Acutis keeps coming up. I was at his canonization in Rome this year that turned into Pope Francis's funeral. So I sadly missed his canonization, but Carlo limited his screen time to 1 to 2 hours a week.
What? I didn't know that.
So
Carlo Acutis, who's been called the digital missionary.
The digital missionary, computer programmer. He prioritized in-person connection over digital connection.
He only spent 2 hours a week on screen time.
Max. He saw what pornography was doing. He saw what gaming was doing, and he gamed himself. And listen, I love to play FIFA.
So he gamed for 10 minutes a week? What did he do?
Yeah, he gamed really limited. FIFA's my go-to game.
Okay, what's so crazy about this is what you just said, and I have read some of the Carlo stuff. I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. I even watched a documentary about him.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah, I was there.
I don't know if that was in the doc. Were you in the documentary?
No.
But was that in the documentary that he only did 1 to 2 hours
I think so.
a week?
It's in his book.
Okay, well then, that's my retention is terrible. Obviously, I'm a living example of that. But
no, me too.
But I don't see that as the takeaway that people have been using about Carlo. It's more that he's sanctifying.
Right.
The new technology and sharing the Eucharistic miracles with the world.
This is a hot take, Lila. Do you want my really hot take?
Yes, do it.
And okay, you have to remember this online. Negative emotion resides longer in the human person. This is why if it bleeds, it leads. All news is if it bleeds, it leads. This is what keeps us engaged. So I don't want to say this hot take to get more people to listen, but you just have to understand when there's confrontation
we'll clip
online.
it and put it on social media.
Right. This will be one of the shorts, right, to keep you just hooked. But this is what keeps us engaged, right? Is these confrontation, negative emotion is more potent than positive emotion.
But is what you're going to say true, and is it going to help people in the end?
Yes.
Okay.
But it's a hot take.
Well,
and
that's okay. If it's true and it's going to help people. What is it?
I just said this at NCYC on stage in front of 16,000 people. And I know this is going to make people angry, but I really believe that the future of evangelization is going to be prioritizing in-person connection over digital reach.
Agree. No controversy with me.
Yeah.
I think that's absolutely true.
Yeah. I think the social capital, again, this is what this idea is. What are you investing in your day-to-day? What's your time worth to you? Because this is the whole idea, right? Our whole mission is to help people get their time and attention back. Invest those 2 finite resources. You're never getting those things back. You are never getting your time and attention back. Those are 2 really important resources. I want you to invest in those things in your life that's going to make you healthier, happier, and live longer. That's really what I'm excited about.
And help more souls get to heaven.
And this is the reality, is that we aren't going to be here forever. Now you have a whole slew of transhumanists that want to live forever. They're going to put their brains into this AI, cloud.
I do want to ask you about that at the end.
Well, let's get to that.
Yeah.
But let's get into some of the real practicals that we help. So when you go through our detox program, anyone can go through this. We started at universities. We gave students light phones, and they gave up their smartphones. I did not ask students to do this. They wanted to do this. Right now, 56% of Gen Z wishes these technologies never existed. Over 48% wish that Instagram never existed. When you go up to young people and you start sharing this stuff, they wish these things didn't happen to them. So this is what we have to kind of understand. I know we're going to get to the possible good that can come out of it. There's no generation that rejected a technology like this, right? No one was up in arms about the washing machine, and was like, we got to get rid of the washing machine. It was a good technology, right? It helped. This is really interesting that most young people wish this never existed, right? So here's what we do. we walked students through these detox protocols to get them more in person, out in nature, heal their relationships, get out of gaming, porn, scrolling, all these things, right? While we were building these clubs at universities, I built this curriculum out, unpacked all the science, all the data into these 11 ways to be human. So right now, how this works is anyone can go through this. You can go to our website. We're using technology as a tool. So you can click on our website, you can start the course, and you will start with a journal and a workbook that will help you create your digital plan of life. So here's a super important part. I feel like what we're experiencing, to your point, with the phone is going to be with us at all times, probably for the end of time and until like the chip goes in your brain, if you want to do that, which will be an option probably soon. But the phone, it's more like someone struggling with like bulimia or something, right? Because the thing is, if you're bulimic, you have to learn to have a right relationship with food. You can't not eat. So to me, that's a better analogy than any other addiction in this space. It's like you need the phone. I understand everyone needs the phone. You can create a plan around your communication, around your entertainment, and around your relationship with your technology that will give you more freedom and give you more benefit than pain, right? So your digital plan of life, we break it down like this. First, choose your device. If you go to grayscale on your smartphone, you will decrease your glances to your device by 47%.
What is grayscale on this?
Grayscale on your smartphone literally makes your whole phone gray. So down to the color of your screen, tech titans.
How do you do that?
We actually have you walk through that. You can see that on Sandy's phone over there. There's a whole process.
Is it in settings?
Yeah.
Where in settings?
Do you know exactly how to do it?
Okay, I'm going to
we
accessibility.
walk you through that whole process.
Can I do it right now? I'm in accessibility. Wow.
So here's
okay. So you click this 3 times, guys, and it goes gray. Wow.
So here's the thing with
But then I can't see the pictures of my kids.
No, so you can change it back to that.
Oh, but then I have to go back and forth.
So here's the thing you can do. When you want to look at pictures that you want to see color, you just, boom, go back to that and you can see your beautiful pictures.
But then when I'm on like social media, it's less captivating.
It's less captivating. So literally down to the color they are using to leverage your views. What color, if you were to guess, what color in our evolutionary history was a sign of threat or scary?
Red.
What is every like button? What is every notification? What is everything on your email, your text thread? What color are all those notifications?
Green.
They're all red.
Oh,
it's a red little thing.
Let's take that out. Wait, but if they're red, why do you want to click on the threat?
That's what attracts us, right? Negative emotions.
It's attracting
our brains
us. Okay.
are threat detectors, right? That's really what we grew. That's how we survived. You and me survived by looking at threats. If you weren't afraid of threats, you did not pass on your genes, right? If you heard a rustling in the trees and you were walking and you were like, oh, whatever, you got eaten by the bear, okay? So that threat is why every news station is preying upon threats, right? That you have to see in your environment to survive. Now think of every social media thing. Every idea now is being turned into a threat. Whether that's left, whether that's right, conservative, liberal, doesn't matter. Everything's becoming a threat.
I think that is a problem on the right that I'm seeing, and being more on the right, I can say this, and I think it's good for us to acknowledge. Yeah. It's all about they are out to get this. Right. They. Who is they?
Yeah, here's a huge
Is it an
point.
ideology? Is it an individual? Is it an institution? But if it's the big broad they, this is where conspiracy theories find their root, and we become hyper vigilant and scared of everything and everyone.
Here's one point I want to make so deeply. Technology is largely turning people into a quantifiable data set. The views on this aren't views. Like you listening, you're a person. Human persons are beautiful. You know what's so crazy since I've been off a lot of this world? I will literally have moments. I live my life in airports. It's the worst, right? And everyone's on their phone, so no one looks at me. But when I make contact with some people, they literally get scared, right? It happened the other day. I was flying, like someone just looked up and I looked and I smiled and like, they got like scared, right?
It's true.
But people are amazing. Like every person you see is made in the image and likeness of God. And one of the things I've noticed getting out of these platforms and these algorithms, you have to remember your algorithm is dictating the perception of your reality, which is not likely true.
Say that again. I think that's such a good point.
I don't know what I just said.
Your algorithm is dictating the perception of your reality, which is likely not true.
Yeah, that is a good line.
It's a good line, and it's so true.
Yeah.
I mean, it's true that it's not true what you see, what X feeds you about what's wrong in the world or what matters, what Instagram feeds you, what's wrong in the world, what matters. Really, what any kind of feed feeds you is not really what's wrong in the world and what matters for you.
One of the main books,
even though it claims that it is.
100%. One of the main books that just came out called Careless People by Sarah Wynne Williams. She worked with Zuckerberg closely for 10 years. I highly recommend that book. They're trying to ban it from Amazon right now. It's her story of really going through working with the company. One of Meta's main sayings was to move fast and break things. Sadly, I think they happen to break the human person at a deep level. So here, I want people to understand you're not just a number, you're not just a view, you're not just a comment, you're not just a transaction. Like every human person is so beautiful and amazing. And this is like what's so weird for me is like I'm out of the matrix and I start to look around and I like look at people. I'm like, I love people. Like I love people. People are so interesting.
They really are.
And amazing and a gift.
Every one of them.
Every one of them. And right now we're just turning all of us against each other. The polarization happening in our world is 100% due to our technology. There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that. So how do we help people get into reality and actually start to connect with themselves and nature and one another? I have so many more stories and so many more things I want to say. There's one flight I was on recently where a woman next to me, I'll never forget this. A huge point of what these technologies are not giving us is getting to know ourselves. What's the commandment that God gave us? To love our neighbor as ourself. If I'm being honest, that second one has been the most difficult my entire life. I have a really hard time loving myself. That's been the hardest. I can love atheists and gays and left and liberals. I can love them all. I don't care.
We're better at abusing ourselves.
That loving yourself thing's really hard. And one of the things I noticed is, and if you look at a lot of the saints, they were huge about entering inwards where they can encounter God. Christ in us, the hope of glory. Felicia Wu Song says in her book, Restless Devices, that with our technologies, we're forever elsewhere. Oh my gosh, Joey Odom said this incredible quote. This is the first generation, I quote, this is the first generation, meaning millennials and Gen Z, that's going to have more memories of other people's lives than their own. Think about that for a second. Think about your scroll. You are looking at people's memories of moments of their lives, and guess what? You're missing out on your own. This is the first generation that's going to have more memories of other people's lives than their own. I want to get people's memories back into their own life with real people that when they look at the end, on their deathbed, back at their life, they're not going to have those regrets, right?
So give me like the top 10 tips. I mean, you just
let's go
taught
through the
me
11
this.
ways. Let's go through the 11 ways.
Go through the 11 ways. You just taught me this thing.
Yeah, you
My
went grayscale.
screen just went.
I love that.
Gray. Okay, great.
So here's what you just did. You
Tell me
decreased
what
your
else I should
glances.
do.
You decreased your glances to your device by 47%. Your average American is just glancing at the device 352 times a day to 2,000 times a day. That's almost every 2 minutes and 45 seconds.
So the graying itself decreases your glancing how much?
By 47% in that range.
That's great. Yeah, because it's just like a boring old newspaper now.
You're almost going to cut that in half. You know, it's funny, and it's going to be kind of funny for you. It's going to get kind of boring. I mean, you're not going to be as interested, right? So that's a huge part. So in our digital plan of life, we start with a device. I use a LightPhone. So this is my cell phone.
That's so cute.
So this is a cute little phone. We
love
give these
that.
out. The LightPhone, LIGHT, thelightphone.com. This is a tool, right? So I use this.
We should have them. We should get them. Is that your company or is that?
No, we partner with them.
We
get
should partner
discounts
with them on the show. I love that.
You'd love
This
them.
is so cute. Can I see your phone?
You can. You can look through it.
Okay. So, and like if you have a job like mine, which is a social media job, this might not work.
So you can still use that.
Okay.
Here's the good news about that. This actually started with a lot of executives using it on the weekend. So that's your supercomputer for the week. On the weekend, you want to be connected with just the people for emergency calls, or hey, you got to hit a text.
Or maybe I just use because the reality is I should only be working certain hours a day.
Correct.
Because when I'm with my kids, I'm supposed to not be on my phone. Right. But there's some things that are like a phone call I have to make to the doctor or something like this. So it's still my supercomputer. So I could have a second phone that's personal and the work phone. This is such a good idea.
That's an option.
All right. So I have hotspot.
So you got a phone, you can text and call. You got an alarm clock. You got a calculator. You got directions.
How do I go back? Sorry, I clicked
You just press the side button, that middle one.
Okay. And then there's alarm. Great.
There's an alarm.
Camera.
You can download podcasts. You can download music. It takes a little bit of time.
Can you listen on this?
Oh, yeah.
So it still makes sound. Like if you want to
I don't
listen,
use it for that. I don't really listen to much anymore.
But you could listen to podcasts on this. And then
you can download
take, and is the camera, can you put my podcast on here? And then you can take pictures. Are the pictures as nice as the iPhone camera?
No, gosh, no, they're horrible. But they're kind of cool. They're so vintage.
They are vintage. But what about my kids?
They're going to look really cool.
I know, but like, can we have one of these with a nicer camera?
They're probably building that.
Okay.
Here's one thing too with like the memory thing. So
all right, it is kind of a cool looking thing, but yeah, I mean for all the
starts incredible
the pictures I'm taking of my kids. I mean, again, moms should not be whipping out their phone every 10 minutes to take pictures of their kids.
Yes.
But if you take one pic a day, that's not too bad.
That's actually one of our challenges is photo fast. So one pic a day, just not of yourself. That's a challenge, right?
It's good.
But here's the kind of funny
The great
thing.
way to do that, by the way, is to have children.
Yes.
Before I got married, I was like, I did selfies regularly.
Yeah. Oh, I did too.
Post marriage, I've got the love of my life.
Yeah.
I've got the cutest human beings.
Yeah.
I'm not interested anymore in taking pictures of myself.
That. Yeah.
But you have to, I mean, that's, even if you're single and you don't have kids, you should still lay off on the selfies.
Well, so here's the funny thing. There's actually quite a few studies that show that memory consolidation through a screen is diminished. So, and I've now heard firsthand studies of this as well, where young people told me, one of our clubs, Christendom, he went to Guatemala, took 500 plus pictures on his camera, literally came back, couldn't remember his trip.
Wow.
Couldn't think of images back to memory. So
he was relying on the device.
So literally what's happening right now, when you are taking pictures all day of your life, you're actually not consolidating the memory properly and you won't be able to recall it.
That is true about taking pics of kids though, too. And I actually am sort of proud of myself sometimes when I don't take pics of my children for multiple days. And then I get like a little bit, I didn't take, my daughter's so cute, I need pictures.
Totally.
So, but if you're playing with your kids or you're on an outing with your kids and it's all about the picture we're going to take as a family.
Yes.
Because pictures are a little bit stressful to take.
Well, and even just the idea is the picture is being designed to be shared with others for quantifiable peer review.
Well, that's where this starts to get. If they're designed for Instagram, that's a problem.
But this is like kind of everything. People are going places just to get the pic to share with people. And to me, I've really, like, honestly, the last 8 years of just living my life and not capturing it in a lot of ways. I still go in pictures. I still take pictures. It's not like I don't take pictures, but I'm mostly living my life and not sharing it with others and sharing with people in the moment. I can't tell you how profound that's been in my life in a lot of different ways.
Do you feel happy?
Well, way happier than I was before. Happiness is a journey, right? Dr. Brooks talks about this. It's not a destination.
You should come to studio. He'll be here in a couple of weeks.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
You can say hi.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I have a quick question. Sorry, I interrupted you. You were going to say something else?
I have one story connected to getting to know yourself because we were talking about that. And then we got to get into the 11 ways.
Well, and I was going to ask you about this. How do I do maps?
Yeah, so
that's
maps directions.
So you have it.
Oh, yeah.
But is there a screen that shows the little line about where I'm driving? Okay.
And there's also other. So this is one device we use. So this is part of our digital plan of life. So you first start with the device. You have the LightPhone or you have the Phone 2 by Techless. Techless, I'd say, is the best company making the best tool that's most applicable to most people. So Techless has the Phone 2 and we're partnering with them very deeply and some really exciting stuff too. It's a smartphone hardware. There's no internet, but it has every app you need. It has driving, banking, flying, Lyft, all the stuff you need without a browser. So it's a 99.99% porn-free device. No social media, no gaming, no nothing. Just the essential tools. That's probably the best choice for most people.
Texting,
everything. Get an email, calendar.
It's great.
All the good stuff. All of what you need is a tool without the distraction. And then, when you need to do your social stuff, you have another platform, right? Atomic Habits.
You have your work phone.
You have friction, right? That little bit of friction, that inconvenience. We need way more inconvenience in our life.
I'm totally buying one of these phones.
Yeah, you're going to love it.
Yeah.
We'll hook you up. We give you codes.
My husband will love it too. My husband has the old school alarm clock by his bed.
I love that. That's one of our challenges. Yeah, because the main excuse is, I need my phone for my alarm clock. It's like, Lila, we did not talk about this yet, but I'm pretty deep in the health and wellness space. So even just regarding the phone, 5G, EMF, electromagnetic fields, we have a whole episode on that. And in 2011, the WHO came out and said that the radiation from your device is a class 2B carcinogen along with lead gasoline. So the phone being on the ear, on the body at all times is literally affecting our biology. It's a carcinogen. There's a explosion of cancers, particularly on the head, that are happening around the world from our phones being attached to our heads at all times. I have noticed
that the rate of an increase in brain cancer, anecdotally, I know a family, they had 2 family members die of brain cancer. It didn't run in the family inexplicably in like a 24-month period. This is like a family that I grew up with.
Yeah.
Brain tumors, brain cancer. Another girl, Trent Horn's wife has suffered a brain tumor recently. I know another family that we're familiar with, their son just died. It's like everyone's getting brain tumors.
So your Wi-Fi, your 5G, your cell phones, all of this is an electromagnetic field that our biology has never experienced in our history.
But that's Wi-Fi in the room you're in, right?
In the room, from cell towers. We have a whole section on how this is affecting us biologically, largely increasing inflammation, chronic disease. It's releasing this calcium into our cell through this ion-vulgated channel in our mitochondria. There is an incredible amount of data that the FCC and telecommunication companies are shutting down because there's scientists from all around the world that are sounding the alarm that we are living in a spectrum of energy that our body was not designed to experience.
But you're saying it's worse when the phone is closer.
Those are your
like just the general like.
I'm always on speakerphone. You'll never
Yes.
see this thing on my ear. I have a little attachment that's a hardwired. I do not use Bluetooth in my ear ever.
So no earpods.
Nope. So here's the thing. They all say, well, it's not thermal. This is all the studies. They say, well, it's creating no thermal effect. It's creating so much damage to our biology. Just because there's no thermal effect doesn't mean there's no effect, right? So we have a whole episode on EMF. We won't get into that now. Let's get into solutions.
Yes. We could go down that rabbit.
Yes.
trail
Let's
a
start with
long
Be
ways.
Light. That's one of my favorite ones. I love the science of light. I'm a light nerd. Okay, so I love sunlight. I love light. I got fascinated with light over the years. We are living in a biological mismatch on many different fronts that's affecting our physiology, right? Which is part of our obesity epidemic, part of our mental health crisis. So in Genesis, right, what happens at the beginning? God separates light from dark. We talked about this a little bit earlier. So we are living in what's called now like nighttime days and daytime nights. So our biology was designed to evolve with the sun. The sun is not going to kill you. Just to give you a perspective, there's about 3 million people that die a year, give or take, in the US. There's about 12,000 people that die of skin cancers. It doesn't even hit top 10 of the top killers, right? There's a southern Swedish study that was done that literally interviewed thousands of women and showed that actually the more time, bless you, the more time it interviewed multiple different women that were indoors all day and women that were outdoors smoking cigarettes. Literally, they had the same risk of all-cause mortality. So you being inside all day was literally the same as smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. So your disconnection from the sunlight, it's not just vitamin D. The sunlight actually releases melatonin in the cells, intracellular melatonin. So melatonin is not just the sleep hormone, it's the prime antioxidant of the body. Our separation from sunlight all day, particularly at the morning and evening hours, is creating an incredible amount of harm in our biology. We are evolved to be in the light. Now, does that mean you go out and get sunburned? No, this is like the distinction, right? But there's a lot of data that's showing we are living in a mismatch biologically with light. Now, your average child, teenager, and adult is losing about 30 minutes of sleep a night due to blue light from the screen. So what's blue light doing? Your eye is not just for sight, it's a clock. It connects to the pituitary gland and the hypothalamus, which is connected to the suprachiasmatic nucleus, right? The master circadian clock of the body. Light literally dictates and tells every physiological process in the body what time of the day it is, right? So if you listen to Andrew Huberman or any of these health guys, light in the morning is incredibly crucial to start your day. We had some students actually recently in high schools that are going through our program. They're like, I just start my day and I'd scroll all day and I had a headache. And this girl just started going and getting sunlight in the morning. All of her headaches went away. She stopped scrolling and like feels way better just from her light environment. So we're living in a biological mismatch from our light environments, right? Our days we're indoors. We're getting less than 100 to like 1,000 lux. Lux is just a measurement of light. And then in the evenings, we have all these fluorescent lights on, which our biology was never designed to see. We never saw anything over 60 lux at night. We only saw candlelight or fires, right? Which is a deep infrared frequency that we don't get anymore. So literally our first episode on Be Light breaks down the science of our screens in the evenings and our mismatch from sunlight and how to get back into the light.
So when you say there's an episode on this, there's a podcast series.
So it's an 11-part video series of me interviewing MDs, PhDs,
beautiful.
psychologists.
And that's all on the website, humanality.org.
This is when you take the course, yeah.
Oh, is that a course you can take online?
Yeah, anyone can do it. It's an 11 ways to be human. You go through the episode. So
this sounds great. I mean, basically, it's probably connected to the next one, Be Outside. It's like the touch grass. I mean, that's really in a nutshell.
I mean, in the ground, grounding, yes, get outside. You know, this is
the sunshine on you.
Well, nature has an incredible healing modality. So, and there's a lot of literature too that talks about this. And Nicholas Carr talks about this. Michael Easter talks about this. Literally, just putting more green in your environment will decrease cortisol.
The color green or
the
plants?
Color green. Literally, plants in your environment.
It's my favorite color. It's a great one.
Well, so this is great. So Saint Hildegard of Bingen, does that name ring a bell? 12th century mystic nun. This woman, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but she was a badass. Okay, so she was a mystic. She consulted kings and queens. She was an herbalist, a nutritionist. This woman was talking about like intermittent fasting in the 12th century, okay, and saunas. Okay, I love her.
Did she do saunas? She's a nun?
Oh yeah. And
how did you do a sauna in the 12th century?
It was probably a different modality then, but some type of heat therapy.
Wow.
And she also wrote an incredible amount of music. So like, I'm trying to be like the dude version of her, to be honest. Just maybe with
Saint Hildegard.
like with wife and lots of babies.
Oh, actually, I am a little familiar with her, the herbalist. Yeah.
Yes.
But I wasn't familiar with her having her favorite color.
So
be
she
green.
talked about the energy of greenness.
Oh.
So she called this viriditas. I'm going to say that wrong. It's a Latin word for the healing energy of greenness.
I love
Sounds super
that.
woo-woo. It's not. It's Catholic. And guess what? She's a doctor of the church. Holler. Okay, so nature in our environment is incredibly important. Now, with most of our time being spent indoors, and think of cities. Actually, cities, your most densely populated cities have the lowest happiness. Now, Michael Easter talks about this. These complex fractals in nature actually decreases cortisol in the body. So when you go on a 15-minute nature hike, it does incredible physiological benefit to you. Just 15-minute walk a day outside of nature is going to do so much, help with your cardiovascular health, lower inflammation, decrease stress. I'm like a huge walker. So I try and walk on calls. I try and walk and work as much as I can. And that's actually a benefit of the good of technology, right? So being outside, we have to start getting outside more and stop this whole weird thing of being afraid from the sun. Now, while I know, and I probably know people that are having skin cancer and different things, you have greater risk,
right?
Well, you have greater risk of death. You have greater risk of death the more you avoid the sun. That's actually what the data points to. The more you avoid the sun, the shorter you're going to live. Now, listen, you're going to get a little more wrinkly, which I realize isn't cool for our modern age. I'm going to be old and really wrinkly and really healthy is my hope, So being outside is huge. What else do you want to hit?
Well, what you said about the towns or the densely populated cities and there's lowest happiness in the densely populated cities. And you're saying it's because of a lack of access to nature.
Yes.
Because being around more people is actually a good thing. Like I think about like the way that they built towns in like Italy back, hundreds of years ago. They were densely populated. You did have a lot of people living close to each other, but the town itself wasn't so big that you couldn't like venture out into nature.
Yes.
And I think that's the difference. It's like densely populated small groups of people.
Yes.
The smallest version of that would be like the family home where hopefully there's a ton of kids and, grandparents are living there too or whatever.
Yes.
But then you have quick and easy access and regular access to nature.
Yeah. Here's some of those quick stats. 5 hours monthly in semi-wild nature is optimal for mental health. 15 minutes in nature. Yeah. It drops blood pressure, heart rate, stress hormones. Having plants in the office increases productivity by
real
15%.
Plants? Real?
Yeah.
They have to be real. Harris, we gotta get the real plants.
Yeah, we'll get you guys some more plants.
We have the fake olive tree in here.
This is wild. We don't
Which
even,
I like.
We
I
don't
think
even
it's pretty.
think about this, but we're living in noise decibels in cities that are actually.
I had a vision of having like potted plants in my studio, like real.
Let's just go full jungle. I think in here.
I actually like that idea.
I think we should go full
that's
jungle.
a cool idea.
We'll work on this next time.
I know it needs a little work. And the green. The thing is, they say don't put green in your set because green does not translate well on camera.
Well, I don't know who they are, but we can tell them about St. Hildegard's got this.
By the way, sorry, I'm being very ADHD with you right now.
I'm ADHD, so that's great.
Pope Benedict declared St. Hildegard a doctor of the church in 2012.
Yes.
I have not studied her life.
Oh,
so you're convicting me of learning more about her. I mean, I'm a big fan of Siena, St. Catherine of Siena, St. Teresa of Avila, St. Teresa of Lisieux, these other doctors.
Yeah.
But she's like a not very well-known doctor today.
Oh,
and she sounds amazing and especially like a saint for the time. So thank you for introducing me to her.
Physica is one of her books. She has a whole book on nutrition, a whole book on healing. Absolutely incredible stuff. Some stuff's outdated, but there's Hildegard healing centers all over the world, actually, of secular people using her prescriptions.
Amazing.
One other fun thing with cities and whatnot, actually noise contributes to heart disease, raises anxiety, and we're actually living in like unhuman decibels of noise. So actually noise has physiological effects on the human person. So anyway, our whole outside topic is all, again, this is all technology. Technology has conquered the outdoors. We've conquered nature action in a way that's killing us. So again, this is this weird finding good stressors in your life physiologically. How does muscle grow? You have to lift heavy things. You have to tear muscle to build it. How do you get healthier? It's actually not sitting all day. You have to move, right? Again, these are trade-offs of sitting all day. We're living in a WALL-E world. So I don't know if you've ever seen the movie WALL-E.
Oh yeah, I thought about that earlier when you were talking about
WALL-E. It's now
obesity and those little chubby guys, right?
Yeah, 70% of our population's obese. 6 out of 10
That's the movie
Americans,
with the scene where they're all fat and they're like,
We're living in that now. But again, this is an effect. This is a trade-off technology. While you can hit the button that gets you Uber Eats and brings you food to your door, for maybe you and me, that's not as detrimental. There's people that are really struggling with their weight that's a really bad technology for them. Again, convenience is a killer. So you have to realize in your life right now, what conveniences are you going to say no to help get your time, attention, and your health back? Because again, even just the light at night is suppressing melatonin by over 80%. Just fluorescent lighting in the evening is suppressing one of the most important antioxidants in the body, melatonin, in your day-to-day. And all these things are connected, right? The amount of time you're moving outside, your light environment, your social connection. Again, remember, kind of to answer your beginning point of like, well, what about the good that can be done in this? You have to take into account what it's doing to your average person, right? So your average person, again, while they're scrolling and getting lost doom scrolling, they're probably not connecting with people. They're probably not moving. When you're actually on technology and TV, you eat 30% more calories. They're probably not getting proper sunlight and movement. It's like, we have to kind of look, I think, at a macro level per person. And I'd say for most people, they're going to do better with limiting their technology on almost every platform.
So very compelling. We're talking about be light. We're talking about be outside.
Hit me with some other ones.
Another one is be free on here. Does that have to do with not consuming entertainment?
No. And I'm not against entertainment, right? Like I go and watch movies at movie theaters, and I'll watch a Netflix movie with a friend, or I'll watch a football game. I don't own a TV, and at my cabin in Wyoming, I have no cell reception. So,
but surely there is you would recommend,
yes,
at Humanality, that you limit the amount of time you're consuming media content.
100%. And that's going to look different for everybody, which is why that's hard to make a prescription. But in general, yeah, the more you can limit that to more meaningful interactions, the better. That might be reading a book, that might be calling a friend, that might be FaceTiming a friend,
right?
Maybe learning from a podcast that you really implement. Like my hope, actually, people listening to this, is that you go and do something after. And I actually really encourage most of these shows I go on for people to have a pen and write down.
We should have started with that.
I know. I
can say that in the intro. So sorry. What is Be Free then?
So Be Free is actually all in the addiction science part, which we hit a little bit about. So the founding tech founders, their intentions, how you're being addicted. It goes into all the addiction science, what we just touched on. But that whole episode is on how they're addicting you on purpose and what you can do to be free. And this is what young people I find really fascinating. They don't like when they find out they're being used. All social media platforms make money by advertisements. Right. So literally the camera is looking at your eyeballs on how long you scroll on each feed. Everything that you do on every social media platform is being harvested and sold to the highest bidder. Google has over 3 million data points of each person on the planet. 3 million. So you have to understand that these apps aren't free. These algorithms are purposely engaging you to spend more time on platform to get you money. Jared Lanier wrote a book called 10 Reasons to Delete Your Social Media. He goes into these bummer principles that he talks about. But essentially, your attention is rented. It's being sold to the highest bidder. So I'm amazed at these young people. They don't like being used, and they don't like to find out that they're being used for these guys' money. Your digital exhaust is making these people a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
And sadly, they aren't concerned with your health. Sorry, last stat with this. 2021, Frances Haugen, whistleblower, came out and showed that actually Meta knows from internal documents that their algorithms were increasing self-harm, suicidality, body image issues amongst young girls, and they were asked to change it. I remember that. And they said no, because they didn't want to decrease engagement.
I remember that.
I find that incredibly evil, to know that your product is destroying lives and you willingly heightening the algorithm, you know?
It's an unethical business.
Yeah.
So Be Free then is, what are the top few tools under Be Free? I mean, we mentioned Covenant Eyes as an example to protect you from pornography.
Yeah.
There's this not a smartphone, the dumb phone, which I love.
It's a smarter phone, actually.
Oh, smart! I like that. Smarter, even smarter phone than the dumb smartphone.
Yeah.
Anyways, are there other tools you recommend for Be Free?
Yeah, a lot of Be Free. We help you understand the science of how this is affecting your brain, and then the whole point is each episode leans into these real life victories that we invite students into, and then community adventures. So there's actual practical habits that we help you build out along the process. So that week, you'll watch an episode and then you have a real life victory to choose from. There's 6 different ones, and you can, actually, this might be fun. Can I have the water bottle and the
real life victory from a certain social media?
That's some type of habit that you're going to help change. So
like an bad Instagram habit. Is that what we're talking
it could
about?
be anything regarding your technology. So you get the Humanality water bottle and then you have all these challenges. I'll let you look at them. But for some of these, These are stickers.
That's nice.
So you take on the challenge, you achieve the sticker. So one of them that week is mindful meals, right? So you watch Be Free. That week, your challenge is to not scroll while you eat meals. Be present to your food, right? There's only about 30...
Or the people you're eating your
food
with.
Or the people you're eating food with. There's only about 30% of families that are eating meals together.
Is this the foodie one?
Mindful meals. Foodie one, that's a community adventure. So you and friends together learn and cook a new recipe together.
Mindful meals. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you do the challenge and you do a full week of it, then you get to put the sticker on your water bottle.
And that's a challenge. That's really hard to eat a meal and like not look at your phone. So you win the challenge. This is hard.
Oh, there's like little places on the water bottle for it. This is fun.
Yeah. We're trying to make these things fun because it's actually fun.
Yeah,
it's
gamify it a little bit.
It's fun to gamify it a little bit and it's fun to feel better.
This is a plastic water bottle though.
I know. It's BPA free.
Oh, okay. All right.
We want to get to no plastic, but we're not there yet.
I love this. Okay. And there's so many on here.
Yeah.
Photo fast, no selfies, no pictures in general.
It's one picture a day.
Focus fitness.
So that's working out with no screen, just no music, literally just go and work out and be present to your workout.
Love it. Spiritual. Pray 10 minutes at least.
It's
go to
a
mass.
prayer without the phone, essentially, which we also love.
That's hard.
Yes. And listen, we partner with Hallow. So we love a good...
We do too. I love you, Hallow.
We love Hallow. But this challenge is to just have no phone with you.
Can you put Hallow on the smarter phone?
No, that would be smart though. That would be smart.
Shoot. Alex, I'm sorry. Okay. How about dance with somebody? I like that.
Oh, I want to dance with somebody.
My 4-year-old loves dancing with me. Okay.
Well, the whole challenge is to go out and dance.
I love
and
that.
Don't post it. Just go dance.
Harris dances. He has dance parties. Like swing dance. He does actual dancing, like official.
I love that. Literally just go swing dance.
Renaissance guy.
And go be there with people and dance. Don't post it.
Servant, go do something nice for somebody and don't post it.
Yeah, that too.
I love this. Okay, so love all of that.
Yeah.
I just want to run through these because I want to leave people with this high note. These are all fantastic. Yeah. Be moving. We kind of talked about that, but like get outside and move. Take a walk at least.
Yeah,
do something.
Yeah, because of technology, 80% of our population is indoor sitting on screens for their job. So we have to first think about the huge shift in work, even defining what work is. Work for most of our history was movement. This is the weird, I was laughing the other day just driving here looking at a gym. Do you realize how weird a gym is? That we go and pay people. If you were to told someone 200 years ago, hey, we're going to have these things where we pay people to go move and lift heavy things. And we're going to even pay people to watch us do that sometimes. You know, think about a fitness trainer. They'd be like, huh? Right? Your day was like 10
And you're not
miles.
like a professional athlete.
Right. Your day was walking. You walked miles a day, right? So low-level movement's key. Most of us are so sedentary. And this is a battle in my own life. Here's such the ironic nature of this whole thing. I'm on a computer like all day trying to build this movement of helping people to get out of their screen addiction and be more human. I have to hack this just as much as anybody else, right? So again, my phone calls, I try and walk. My lunch break, it's outdoors, you know. I get made fun of for all this stuff, but like,
it's great.
I'm trying to be human. Like these inputs we always had. You got to get outside and you got to get moving. Every study in this master manual and every study you're going to look at with exercise is correlated to longevity. Just start moving. And here's what's so interesting to me. There's more information than ever about movement, fitness, and health. I think it's the most confusing thing on the planet actually right now. One day you're looking online and then they're like, bananas are bad for you. One day you have a doctor, you have a PhD saying meat's bad for you. And then you have a vegan saying no, you know, or, you know, they're saying like, yeah.
And then Jordan Peterson is like, just eat meat.
Right. So anyway, movement's key. You have to start to implement movement in your life.
But I think it's very foundational. Like eat more whole foods, avoid the processed section of the grocery store and processed foods, and be outside and take a walk. I mean, you don't even have to go to the gym. You don't even have to lift weights. You can
I don't even encourage
people
to go to gyms. Literally just get some functional movement in your life. Play a sport, play a hobby, get outdoors. Like young people aren't doing these things. We have to literally reteach them to do some of these human things.
Okay, I want to go through a couple more of these before we wrap. So be connected.
Yeah, that's all on relationship.
Beautiful.
That's all on really how to build authentic friendship. You need to log at least about 200 hours with a person in person to build a friendship.
Whoa.
We go through Aristotle's ideas of friendship.
200 hours in person with someone to build. What does that mean to build a friendship? I have friends that I've met only a couple times, but we stay in touch. Yeah,
you stay in touch. Yeah, that's like an interesting
but are they a friend?
Phrase too, right? To stay in touch.
Yeah.
Like really, what does that look like? What does that mean?
What does that look like?
And is that really what we were designed for? So I would say the hyper connection is actually part of the loneliness epidemic. This is what's so wild about this.
But it's not deep connection.
It's not deep connection. This is why 68% of Gen Z says that no one really knows me.
That's
while we're sharing all of our ideas and sharing all of our days and sharing all of our posts and getting all these likes, we're not building intimate relationships because you can only build those in person. And guess what? You can only learn empathy, like what we're doing even right now, through in person. You can't learn this through a screen. So Dr. Robin Dunbar goes through this. He's an evolutionary psychologist that talks about friendship. How many friends we can actually facilitate as humans today. So do you know the number of acquaintances that we can really facilitate? Do you know the number?
No, but I know the number for friends is like 10 or 12, right?
You're right. So acquaintances, it's about 150 to 230. So if you look at most of these Amish communities, hunter-gatherer tribes, they're weirdly in this 150 to 230 realm.
It's like the biggest wedding, but that makes sense.
Right. That's acquaintances. You want to get a little closer intimate friendships that you're seeing more regularly is about 50. And then it goes down to 15. And deep, intimate friendships, it's 5. So here's what I found.
What do you do when you have 10 people in your family?
That's a lot of intimate friendships. Or yeah, that's a lot of connections. You got to facilitate.
You have 10 kids. What do you do?
It's a lot. It's a lot. And here's also
Jesus had 12 disciples though.
Yeah. And he invested in 3.
But he
really.
was Jesus.
But he really invested in 3.
That's true.
So even there's like these tiers, right? And I found on my social media, I found this so weird. More people knew about my life and what I was doing than me. So I would go to another city. I would wake up in city. I still do that. Sometimes I wake up and I'm like, I don't know what city I'm in, right? And I remember people come up to me and be like, oh, I just saw you were in Canada or you were on the West Coast. And I'm like, oh yeah, I was. Like people were starting to know more about my own life than me. And I found that my friendships online, while I knew that they got married or had a kid and the kid did this and that next thing happened, I noticed no one was really checking in with me as much because guess what? They knew what I was doing, but they didn't really know me. So here's what's happening right now. And this is deep sociological. There's so much depth to this idea. We know more about what people are doing than we actually know about them. So this shallowness of our relationships is actually causing this loneliness epidemic, I believe.
And it's driving the polarization and division because you can much more easily hate, judge, be angry at someone or something that you don't really know.
1 out of 5 millennials has 0 friends. This is why dating apps are getting a lot of traction because people are incredibly lonely, largely due to our technologies, largely due to the car.
1 out of every 5 millennials say they have no friends.
Yeah. The car did incredible good and incredible damage all at once, right? The train, the plane. I'd say I've experienced a lot of the damage of the plane in my life. I have felt like I've flown everywhere in the world and I've also like lived nowhere.
Right.
And I meet friends all over. I have friends all over the world, amazing friendships. I rarely get to really invest in them, you know?
I mean, you remind me a little bit about myself before I got married because I was on the road 50% of the time, minimum.
Yeah.
And I was for pro-life activism and I would go around the world. I'd speak, I'd do investigations, I would do seminars, I would do whatever, all these things. And I was so lonely. I was so lonely because I also was living alone. I was not supposed to live alone more than like a year, but it just like ended up happening for like 3 years.
Yeah.
So I had no one in my home.
Yep.
It was just me. So I finally was like, I know I'm not supposed to do this anymore.
Right.
I need to take decisive action.
Yeah.
And I want to design my life now for the kind of life that I'm praying to God for, which includes a husband and children. Right. And so I wanted, I worked hard here. I'm going to keep working hard, but I'm going to now start like designing my life so I can sustain what I feel called to do with pro-life work and like culture work and stuff while still being a wife and a mother. And I'm still like figuring it out. Like nothing's perfect, but it had to do with cutting back on the plane actually.
I mean, I'm in that now. And also, by the way, there's this incredible trait. I love aviation. So I went from being terrified of flying, like panic attacks, to like, I can't wait to be a pilot one day. Like I want to get my private pilot's license for funsies. I think aviation is the most successful, wild technological victory of humanity. When you think about what happens every day
it is crazy.
All over the world, it's unbelievable. Like we land, like I just went up in the sky with 2 random people going 500 miles an hour and we land and everyone's
in a
like,
steel box.
Okay.
It's so weird.
Box. It's absurdly weird.
Honestly terrifying when you...
But also from a circadian rhythm standpoint, it is absolutely damaging to the human person to change time zones every day, every week, once a week. We were not physically designed to do that. That's why a lot of pilots and a lot of these people that have night shift workers, whether in the healthcare system or night shift workers, have incredibly high risk of disease and cancer because we are living, again, in environments, light environments we weren't designed to be in. So anyway, friendships, be connected, all about how to create and how people can really invest in the most important relationships in their life. And that's the science we kind of dive into.
Just to keep it something actionable for someone, you mentioned the 200 hours for a friend.
Yeah.
Would you say the best advice you can have for somebody maybe listening in terms of building friendships is identify some people in your life, they could even be family members, that you actually make time to spend time with where there's no screens involved?
Yes. 100%. And
that's it. Go walking with them, play bingo with them.
Yeah.
I like playing chess. You can play
Yeah.
chess with
I
them.
love board games.
Board games,
Mhm. Go
read
play
a
cards.
book, go to, I don't know, somewhere with them, go to church with
knit.
them, go to church.
Go clay, go build pots, go do something that involves
talk with
humans. Yeah. Now this is terrifying. And this is what's hard is like,
terrifying.
if people can use technology to get in person, there's no third places anymore, right? So with a population going to less churches, there's less places for people to be with each other. So I'm actually interested in somehow being part of the movement that helps create third places in some way, but go to coffee shops. But the funny thing is even coffee shops, that's where I go to
everyone's on their
work.
screen.
I go to work and I go into a coffee shop and sit by myself on a computer, and it's like, it's so weird. So anyway, you have to prioritize this stuff is the point. And you have to make an intentional decision to say, hey, I'm going to start to spend more face time with people. Again, the physiological benefit of deep social relationships is your number one predictor for longevity. You should clean we should stop. 60% of the population is eating ultra processed food. That's a bad stat, right? 6 out of 10 Americans have one or more chronic diseases. 12% of our population is metabolically unhealthy. 50% of the population is diabetes. These are bad things. But even more than that is increasing social capital in your life.
Real life connections, in person, IRL.
It's going to be awkward. You're going to struggle.
Without screens.
Yes.
I keep saying that because you can often, like the teenagers today get together and they're all on their phone next to each other.
Oh, literally. I literally saw this. I see this everywhere. The other day I was just in Denver. Whole group of kids came in on their phones, sat together. Good looking guys, some really good looking girls. I'm like, dudes, you should be spitting game right now, right? Like you should be like talking to them and flirting. They were all on their phones. One of them looked up out of the matrix, stood up and walked out, and all of them got off their phones, stood up and walked out. They didn't say a word. I see this all over the world, right? I mean, this is what's hard to like really, really diagnose, like what's going to be best. I honestly, if I had to say, I'd say for most people, the more you can limit your digital interactions, social media, gaming, news, if you can limit that to 10 to 30 minutes a day, if I had to put a real time to it, to me, that's what the data shows to would probably bring the most benefit into your life.
Here's my challenge for people listening. If they feel this urge at all to delete social media, unless you are intentionally using social media to advance a specific cause, and it could be your home business because that matters for your home. That's how you're supporting your family. I would say delete it.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Yeah.
And if you are using social media to advance a specific cause, could be your home business or the pro-life cause or evangelization or something, then you have to be 100% locked in about how you're using it, to your point.
Yeah.
And you're not doing the doom scrolling.
Yeah. Well, even how you're sharing it too. Like, I think we forget that. I think I said this the other day and someone said that was a good quote. I'll try and remember it, but they're like, I was consuming so much Catholic content, I was forgetting to be consumed by God. So here's also, again, the trade-off. You can listen to all the best Catholic content all day, every day, and forget to know the God that created the content.
That's my other message for people listening. If you are listening to this podcast and it's getting in the way of you praying, spending time in silence and praying, please delete my podcast from your life. Like the goal of this is to help you live your life better and love God and other people better. And the bottom line, and you have this here, you have be silent in here, you have be mindful. I know those are connected to faith, but you need to create space in your life. Yes, for mass, I believe, for going to church is essential, but for just silence, letting God speak to you. Lord, what do you want to say? Just sitting there in front of the Blessed Sacrament.
This was to the one story. I was on a plane, woman next to me scrolling literally the entire flight. When I mean the entire flight, I mean literally scrolling the entire flight.
How long was the flight?
It was at least an hour and a half. Second week, got out of Wi-Fi zone, phone died, and she like head down to sleep. I mean, it was so wild. I get my LightPhone and we land, and I'm like, I need to get a ride. She's like, oh my gosh, what is that thing? I was like, this is my LightPhone. It's like a digital detox company I run, and she's like, oh my gosh, I'm so addicted to my phone. In the back of my head, I'm like, yeah, no crap, lady. Like I was very nice. I was very generous. She said something I'll never forget. She said, I can't be with my thoughts for just 1 second. So
that's going to make me cry. I cry a lot this show. That's so sad.
There's a huge reality that this is outsourcing our reality again of getting to know ourselves, which again connects back to loving God and loving yourself. It's really hard. I think one of the hardest journeys I've been on again is getting to love and know myself.
Yes.
And the more I'm on these things, again, it's not just what you're viewing. The US Surgeon General literally said that social media needs to have warning labels just like cigarettes. This is the US Surgeon General asked for warning labels on social media platforms because it's mostly carcinogenic and toxic to our psychology, right? And one I think the toxins is, again, we're missing the journey of getting to know ourselves, which you were created by God. You're worth getting to know. And you're worth getting to know yourself. Now, everything online now is getting to know yourself and self-expression and all these things. And Paul Kingsnorth, he wrote a book called Against the Machine. And Philip Reif, he quotes in his book, The Triumph of the Therapeutic. And he quotes these different stages that man has been in. It started with the political man. So Socrates was terrified of us writing down things. He thought our brains would turn to mush. Sadly, I think a lot of what he said has come true in many different ways. But while he talked about this, he wrote this down, right? He was writing about how writing is going to ruin our brains, right? So in some capacity, we have to enter into these mediums in some way to help people get out of the addictive side of it, right? But it started with the political man. It went to the religious man, from there to the economic man, and then now we're in the psychological man phase. So everything's about the interior and the psychological. And this is where you get all these crazy ideologies that are coming out of these social platforms. There's a real history to actually why these ideas are happening, but we're identifying ourselves. It's called expressive individualism. Whatever I feel is what I am. That's an idea that's deeply rooted in Freud, in Rousseau, in many different atheistic thinkers, right? The amazing gift of Christianity is that you aren't your feelings, and actually your deepest, we're a body-soul composite, right? We have this hylomorphic view of the human person. I'm an embodied soul, and if I'm honest, I don't know exactly what that means. I've thought about that a lot, but apparently that's what we are.
It's partly a mystery.
It's partly a mystery. But what's happening with a lot of these technologies is that they are creating this worldview of the interpretation of ourself that is largely psychological and not actually understanding the full potential and flourishing of the human person. We're embodied souls, right? My identity is not what I do. That's why it's always weird when I come on these things and people, you start with what you do, right? Who are you? Oh, I'm an artist. I'm a musician. I'm a theologian. I'm a national board certified health and wellness coach. I'm this. It's the deeper thing that I am as a son of God.
Right. It has to all come back to that.
That's what it has to come down to. But I noticed this woman really broke open a lot. Most of our escape into the digital realm, I think, and what a lot of the literature shows is actually it's quenching this psychological stress and fear of getting to know ourselves. Last stat, Harvard did a study where they put university students in a room for 15 minutes by themselves and were asked to just be alone.
Yes,
right? They started with this electrical shock. One student shocked themselves up to like 130 plus times, right? We're terrified of being with ourselves. Be mindful, be silent. Those episodes, we put you into practical situations. Like one of these stickers we have is idle hours. So that challenges while you're doing the groceries, while you're at a stoplight, while you're waiting in between things. Don't pull out the device. Just be present to the moment. And that would be like the challenge someone can start today. When you're at the stoplight, don't pull out the phone, just look around. When you're at the airport, I dare you, when you're at the airport, in your gate, to just look around and just look at people. Look at people, watch people, be present to God. God's everywhere. St. Paul said to pray unceasingly. We didn't really get into the whole spiritual aspects of all this. Obviously, all this angst I feel, I think,
gotta have you back, Andrew. There's so much more to explore.
It's largely, I think, because there's this huge spiritual component to this. And I'm interested in that whole person experience. But that would be my encouragement, is there's practical little things you can do today that's going to help one get that number down. I want that 27 years that you're in your life to not be 27 years. And I want you, for the years you have left, to spend them with the most valuable experiences you can have,
I'm hopeful because everything that you recommend is so human and it's so, in a way, effortless if you get back to the roots of how we were designed. All of this is available on your website. You have these great resources. How can people find your work?
Yeah, so we're not on any social media platforms. Now, I'm interested, actually, this might change. I'm interested in going to the podcast world. I do think this medium can be incredibly beneficial.
Yes.
And so while we're not on any podcasts, we don't have any social media, you can go to our website, humanality.org, and we're on Hallow. Again, you can go to Hallow, go to Digital Detox, go through this. People are really giving incredible feedback there. Anyone can start this course. If you're 90 years old and you want a better relationship with your phone and screens, if you're 9 years old, actually, we probably recommend 14 years old and above. There is an episode that does talk about the effects of pornography. So we want to keep that for 14 years and older. Anyone can start this with their friends. This is happening at schools, at churches, at businesses.
Amazing.
I want to help the world be human, and that's really my mission.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Andrew, this is incredible.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me here.
So excited to share this with people listening. I'm sure they're excited hearing this. Please share this with a friend and check out humanality.org.
And what they can do, instead of commenting, communicate with a person
about it.
So here's what I love. If you feel this impetus where you're like, oh my gosh, I got to type this comment, whether you really agree with what I'm saying or you're incredibly furious about what I'm saying, I want you to direct that energy towards an in-person interaction, because that's actually going to help your day.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for what you're doing.
This is so good. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of The Lila Rose Show. I hope you enjoyed it. I always do. Make sure that you're subscribed if you haven't hit that subscribe button already, and go over to our Patreon to support the mission of this show. That's patreon.com/Lila Rose Show. A huge thank you to our partner, EWTN, the largest religious broadcaster in the entire world. EWTN is reaching millions of people every single day with the beautiful truth of the gospel. You can watch new episodes of The Lila Rose Show 24 hours before they hit podcast app over at EWTN.com/on-demand.